Welcome, everybody. We're going to wait just a couple of minutes here, maybe. We still have a few folks coming in. Want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to get settled and get the notepad ready and start learning. So give us a couple minutes and we'll get started. Ryan, you just let me know when we're ready.
I'm gonna say give her another minute and a half and you should be good.
Okie dokie.
All right, looks like we're evening out. So whenever you want to rock and roll, hit it.
You got it. Quick plug for Drone Spraying Unlimited down in South Louisiana. Awesome drone spraying and even better cups. Okay, let's get to it, guys. So thank you all so much for joining us here tonight. If you're over on the East Coast, it's late for you. And over on the West Coast, then you're just coming home from work. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Feels really good to do another webinar. Haven't done a live webinar here in a while, so this is awesome. Really looking forward to this and hoping you guys have brought a lot of questions or come up with lots of questions. That's what this is all about. So this is just kind of a quick overview of our agenda. We'll first kind of obviously introduce who Agri Spray Drones is, if you guys don't know, and then we'll look at the US drone industry and kind of DJI, what's happening with DJI. We'll talk about who is EAVision as a company, and then we will look at the J100 and take a really deep dive into that. So this is going to be a very probably long webinar by the time we get through all of the information and then answer all the questions, probably looking at a couple hours here. And so if you have questions, go ahead and drop those in the Q&A. As we're talking, there should be a Q&A button on your screen. Click on that, and you should be able to type your questions in right there. We will answer these during and after we're done presenting. Okay, let's get to it. So first off, my name is Taylor Moreland. I am CEO and founder of Agri Spray Drones. Grew up on a Missouri dairy farm on the west side of the state. Started using drones back in 2014 with the Phantom 4, I believe it was, doing crop scouting, things like that. I now live in Butler, Missouri, back on the in-laws farm. And along with Agri Spray Drones, my wife and I run a nonprofit, Frog Mobility, to create and manufacture mobility devices for children, toddlers with disabilities. Our oldest son has spina bifida, and so we created a few mobility devices for him. Every time I have an audience, I always like to plug this just to see if we can find some kids who we can help. So this is just a few screenshots here, pictures of mobility devices, some kids using those. That's the Go Bro, is the little wheelchair there. After my son's name, Brody, Go Bro, Go Brody. And then the frog, the bottom right there. So if you know of anybody that we can help, any children, any families, therapy centers, please reach out to us, thefrogfoundation.org. Thank you. So Agri Spray Drones, who are we? Well, we are defined, I believe, by our mission statement of empowering rural America. Now, what does this have to do with spray drones? When I started, spray drones were just a means to an end. It was a way to apply fungicide on corn acres that you couldn't get the crop duster into, a means to an end. As we progressed, we learned this technology actually was creating hundreds and now thousands of jobs in rural America where opportunities are limited. So from basically our first year, our first few months when we learned this has become our mission statement. This is all what we do. We are a distributor of this technology all across the country, sales, service, support, and everything. I mean, that's spray drones is all we do. So, and this is what drives us. So just some quick stats here. Ryan, is my camera blocking half the screen on the right side, or are we okay?
You should be good.
Okay. So this was, obviously with our mission statement of empowering rural America, we want to put our money where our mouth is and actually see what impact these drones are having. So this is data from 2023 spray season. This was a survey that was sent out to drone operators all across the country. Wanted to know, how is this impacting you? Answer some key questions here. So as you can see, in 2023, every drone on average sprayed 4,000 acres, generating $67,000 per drone. All of that by individuals, young men, young women from all across the country, all in rural America. On a macro level, that is a little over 4.5 million acres and $75 million that is generated by new businesses in rural America. Really cool. And of course, you can see our other stats there. 19% of these operators are veterans and 48% had a chance to return back to the family farm. This, growing up as a farm kid on the family farm, this really hits home to me. So really, really proud and to be part of this. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to have this opportunity. Okay, so first topic here. Obviously, this is about the J100, right? You guys have seen our videos online. Maybe you might be confused. What's going on? What is the J100? What is EAVision? Why are we bringing a new drone to the market? And what's happening with DJI? What's our relationship with DJI? And just in general, what's happening in the US market for the spray drone industry? So let's kind of look at DJI in particular, since they have been obviously a big driver of supplier here in the US market. And the best way to illustrate this, in my opinion, is a timeline. So this is a timeline of DJI here in the US, and then obviously our history with DJI. So I began testing spray drones in 2019. The first spray drone we tested was actually not a DJI. It was a Foxtech Thea 140. Really cool concept of a drone. It had a generator on board, a little weed eater engine that powered a generator, that powered batteries, that powered the props. Only hold 2 gallons. And it was kind of a piece of crap, to be honest with you. It was like a flying weed eater. It could spray though, and it could fly. So that showed us what the concept was like. It was real technology. Then we got an XAG P20. That was our second drone. Hardware, awesome, way better than the Foxtech Thea 140. Really impressed by, at that time, with the hardware, with the whole system, really. XAG was not ready for the US market in terms of how the system operated, in terms of being able to connect to the drone and set it up and map a field and operate on large acreage. It just wasn't ready. It was kind of more frustration than it was solution. But nevertheless, it showed us what a spray drone could be. So there in 2020, that's when we started with DJI. So 2020, end of 2019, we worked with DJI. We got a couple of T16s. That was a 4-gallon unit specifically built for agriculture. And throughout 2020, we just sprayed acres. They're locally around Centralia, where I was living at, and really blown away with the ease of use. That showed us that these drones can cover acres and that anybody could use these drones, meaning that we didn't have to just be operators like us. It could be farmers. It could be anyone. So there in 2020, almost exactly 4 years ago, we began sales of the Agras T20, the OG Agras T20. And great drone, took off great. But in July of that year, in 21, the Department of Defense actually issued a statement saying that DJI drones posed a national security threat. What does that mean? Really didn't mean anything at that time. I didn't even know about this until later on. So didn't pay any attention to it. And then in 22, that's when the Agras T30 was released, sprayed lots of acres, and the Agras T40 was introduced, and the spray drone market started scaling. And DJI had almost 100% of the market at that time. Also in that year, in October, the Department of Defense officially put DJI on the blacklist. What does that mean? And the blacklist basically means that the Department of Defense was calling DJI a Chinese military company. And we knew about this, we heard about this, and we thought, this is bogus, this is crazy. They make spray drones, they make drones that realtors use, it doesn't make any sense. But if you remember, also back in 2022, war in Ukraine, and DJI drones were being used there. So that was kind of the catalyst for this happening. DJI immediately withdrew all exports to those two countries as a way to show we do not support this, we are not a military company. Had little effect on this designation of the DoD, unfortunately. Okay, then this past year in 2024, DJI, of course, continued their growth. The T40 and T50 dominated the market this past season. Also, in 2024, the Countering Chinese Drones, the CCP Drones Act, passed the House. This is when we started to get nervous because this meant that every drone would be affected, spray drone or not. And we joined a coalition, American Spray Drone Coalition, to try to educate lawmakers of the benefits of these drones. Also seemed to have little effect. It did pass the House, did not pass the Senate though. But unfortunately, in July of 2024, Customs and Border Protection, CBP, officially accuses DJI of using forced labor to produce their products, their drones. We did not know about this. This came out without an announcement. We had 160 T50s stuck in customs in Chicago, and we didn't know why. They told us why. We started scrambling, and we got another 120 units stuck in customs for the same reason. Kept scrambling, kept working with DJI, trying to figure out what is going on, why is this designation happening, what information can we provide to customs to alleviate this and clear DJI's name here. And unfortunately, the information that needed to be provided is literally the manufacturing process of every single component of every drone and the details of the final assembly. A bridge too far for DJI and the Chinese government as a whole. Those are trade secrets, proprietary information, not willing to give those up easily. And so thus far, they've not agreed to do that. And if they do, it will be a long process to clear their name. So if you guys want to know why there's been a limited amount of T50s brought in certain places from certain dealers, especially, this is why. This is exactly the reason. What this means is that it is against federal law to import DJI drones if you do it legally. That's plain. It's as plain and simple as I can make it. It does not make them illegal to use in the U.S. It just makes them federally illegal to import. CBP, Customs and Border Protection. So that's the deal there. So in 2025, yet another hurdle DJI is facing is DJI must prove data security to the NDAA or they will face an FCC ban. If they do not provide information to show data security, then an FCC ban will, at this point, be enforced at the end of this year. We'll see what's going to happen there. So that is what's going on. That is why there are big changes. If you guys are not aware, that's it. Okay. And before moving on to some Q&A, just to clarify, I know we got some comments here. Well, you guys have a bunch of T50s in stock. I saw it in your videos. So this video is shot 2 months ago. These series of videos were shot 2 months ago, even though they were just releasing now. You can see 4 T50 units there on the left-hand side of the picture. The rest of those are not T50s. Those are fly carts. So those were in the picture that day, out of the picture the next day. So we don't have T50 units in stock. Okay, now we're going to break out our Q&A here into different sections. So if you guys have questions specifically about DJI, about how we're working with DJI, about anything here, drop those in the Q&A and we'll answer those. 1 second, folks. Can you give me some more water? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start answering some questions you might already have. So first off, will Agri Spray drones continue to work with DJI? Yes. As I said, legally, we cannot import their drones right now, but we can still get parts, and we will continue to do so. Parts have a different HS code. They do not fall under the forced labor designation, so we can still get parts as of right now. Okay, why are there still new DJI Agras drones on the market from certain places, certain dealers? Well, all right, just because it's against federal law to import these drones does not mean federal laws are being followed. If you call a spade, we know if you call a spade and do your paperwork properly, drones get stuck at the border. If you don't call a spade, then maybe they get through. It seems to be the only logical explanation that we can come up with. We're not getting much information from DJI here. What is DJI doing to fight back? So DJI is suing the Department of Defense, and this is specifically for the DoD issue, that the blacklist issue. For the CBP, as of right now, nothing is being done that we know of, that we're being told as of right now, because they literally are stuck between a rock and a hard place, unfortunately. So what efforts are we making, Agri Spray drones, to help DJI? Well, as I mentioned, we are part of a coalition, American Spray Drone Coalition. I highly recommend that you join as well. This is an effort to advocate policies that are beneficial for the U.S. spray drone industry. That includes access to all spray drones, doesn't matter where they're from. We just want you to have the best access to any spray drone on the market. The best technology should live here in the U.S. for U.S. farmers. So that's what this group does, and that's what we're doing. Okay, so what will happen if DJI FCC licenses are suspended at the end of this year? Truth be told, I don't know. I haven't seen, and if it, does that just affect future models? Is that a revocation of current models? What will that do with the software and the cloud system? Truth be told, I don't know at this point. Again, this is relatively recent, so more to come here. Okay, Ryan, do we have some questions on this topic?
Got some. We've had, looks like 4 come in. I've already answered 1 or 2 of them. With the J100, will it have the same issues during customs such as DJI?
No, won't have the same issues on customs. Again, CBP can flip a switch. Literally, they can flip that switch. So we don't know the future. This could happen to any company, but it does not appear that that EAVision will face the same issues. We can talk a bit more about this later when we get into EAVision stuff.
All right. Next, if the ban, you pretty much already answered this one. If the ban passes, will it affect getting parts? I'm assuming this is talking towards the DJI side of things.
Yeah. So if the FCC, ban, right? That's what I guess what we're calling the ban. If that's what we're calling the ban, is the FCC licenses. Will that affect getting parts? Good question. Again, not sure. Props and arms and motors, right? They don't have FCC licenses on those. It would be the flight controller would be the biggest thing that would be affected for sure.
I would say we've got 2 more that come up, but I think we can save those for later.
Solid. Okay. I know you guys there's a lot more questions you guys have put in, but we're going to break this down and do like all questions that are non-specific at the end of this.
I am keeping a track for all of you guys that might not see it necessarily on the Q&A or in the chat. I'm keeping track of things, so we'll try to go over as much as we can at the end.
Cool. Thanks, Ryan. Okay. So yeah, EAVision. So obviously the issues DJI did face issues that many distributors of DJI are facing, was the main primary catalyst for seriously thinking about introducing a new manufacturer and a new drone to the U.S. market. Prior to this, what was the real benefit? DJI drones were working just fine. Everybody had them. We knew them very, very well, know them still very, very well, and carried parts. So this still is the catalyst, the DJI issues, as we started kind of seriously looking at what other options there are. And of course, there are other options than EAVision and DJI. There's XAG. XAG already exists in the U.S. market. We wanted something new, if we could find something that was new, that had a company that was reputable, that had a product that was well built and worked well, that's what we wanted to bring to the U.S. market. And EAVision is what we settled on. But it wasn't just EAVision we looked at. I want to make that clear. It was more companies than just EAVision, DJI, and XAG. Okay, so some history here on our relationship with EAVision. We met almost a year ago in February of 2024 at the World Ag Expo. That is me with Hongjun, one of the original co-founders of EAVision. What I learned from that meeting and a few meetings after that is EAVision was not just kind of grabbing parts here and there from different suppliers and putting a drone together. They actually they were pioneering key technologies, one of those being binocular vision. They had this on spray drones prior to DJI, and even though they're not no longer using it, they're using LiDAR now. And they had extremely solid hardware. Everything was designed, manufactured in-house, including the hardware systems and software. And the company was actually founded in Silicon Valley. That's in the U.S. in California, if you consider that U.S., I guess. In Silicon Valley, California, in 2015. So they have a fairly long history. So why haven't we heard? Hardly anyone's heard about EAVision until now. Why haven't we heard about them when they have been around for 15 years? Well, mainly because of late funding and late scaling, which put them behind DJI and XAG. Let's look at that. Let's break this down into a timeline. So, yet another timeline for you. 2015, EAVision was established, founded in the US. That does not mean that they were producing drones. That means that a company was created in the US, and they were working on their technology. Also in that same year, DJI launched the MG1 in China, and XAG launched their first generation spray drone in China. So DJI and XAG were the first movers in China, while EAVision was still in the US. In 2017, EAVision had moved back to China. Well, they still kept their branch in the US, but they set up a headquarters in China, and they got funding. So why wasn't EAVision able to get funding here in the US? Does anybody know what was going on with the spray drone industry in 2015 here in the US? Nothing. A whole lot of nothing was going on, and so nobody was willing to invest in EAVision. China, there was a lot of activity. This was kind of the birth of spray drones, was 2015. And so EAVision moved back into China. They launched their first spray drone, a 10-liter unit, at the same time that DJI and XAG both had 10-liter units on the market. At also the same time, XAG had 50% market share in China. So EAVision was very much so an incumbent in that market. 2020, EAVision launches a 20-liter unit at the same time as DJI launching their 20-liter unit and XAG launching their 20-liter unit. But of course, there are just many more users using DJI and XAG at that time. So EAVision has to start carving out a niche and still doing funding. There in 2021, EAVision is still doing funding. They closed their C round of funding, and that kind of begins their scaling of the company. In 2021, if you guys remember, that's when the T20 launched here in the US market. T30 also launched in the US market, and the XAG P100 Pro was released, but not here yet. 2022, EAVision enters the global market finally. Now, what does that mean? That does not mean the US market. That really meant Southeast Asia. That was kind of their niche that they carved out, Southeast Asia, India, a little bit in South America. That same year, T40 dominates globally, and XAG enters the US market. And then 2024, EAVision gets FAA approval of the J100. This happened about, I'd say, when was this? May, June, sometime around there. They got FAA approval of the J100 here in the US, ready essentially for adoption in the US market, finally in 2024. And of course, at the last year, DJI has majority US and global market share with spray drones and all drones. And XAG has their first big year this past year. That's kind of the breakdown of timeline. So you see, that's kind of the big reason we haven't heard about EAVision is because they had to carve out a niche. And that niche was basically where EAVision or where DJI and XAG did not have a strong foothold already. Okay, why did Agri Spray drones choose EAVision? Okay, there's a few reasons here. And obviously the product, right, the J100 was a big reason. But we also wanted a company that we thought we could work very closely with. So these are kind of some key things that EAVision brought to the table. First off, a very close partnership. So finally having a seat at the development table for software changes and even hardware changes. Several of those on both ends have been made already with the J100. And then having a full season to beta test new products, something that really haven't been able to do here in the US market to date. Of course, with DJI, who we've been working with for 4 years now. When DJI launched a product, we really had just a month or two to play with it. We'll have a full season to test multiple units of EAVision's next model, which I'm really looking forward to basically put it in service here in the US, find all the bugs, report back to EAVision on software and hardware before it goes into production for the US market, something I think we really need. Okay, and then second thing here, a pathway to US manufacturing, also something we desperately need, especially with everything happening to DJI. That's the first step, I believe, to Chinese drones. We all know this. There are more things happening to Chinese drones just in general. Obviously, the administration, everybody, frankly, in the government wants to move manufacturing out of China into the US. And EAVision offers a pathway to do this. They are actually pushing us pretty hard on this right now. They've already done this in India. Full-scale manufacturing happening in India because Indian law, kind of like the US, they don't want Chinese drones coming in there, so they have to manufacture themselves. They license the hardware and software to an Indian company to do this. And this is underway pretty far along the process in Brazil right now. Should happen here in just a few months. They'll be producing units in Brazil. Actually, you know, everything, all the hardware. Okay, and then kind of last reason here, EAVision is a small and nimble company. Now, is this a good thing? This is a bad thing. I believe this is a good thing. I believe we need a small company that listens to us. Just like we need you, EAVision actually might literally need us for the growth of their company. You know, can the same be said for other manufacturers? Maybe, maybe not. But EAVision really does need us, and they are an ag drone only company, meaning spray drones only. That is all they have. So their survival and their success quite literally depends on them having good technology and making changes to adapt to the market. Okay, let's take another little Q&A break here. Again, if you have questions about EAVision as a company, our partnership with them, anything there is on the table, drop those in the Q&A. I'm going to go ahead and start answering some that I've dropped in that you might have, something that people have been speculating on the top here. Did EAVision bribe or pay Agri Spray drones to sign a contract? No, it was quite the opposite. This was our choice to work with them. We approached them. Okay, what is EAVision's production capacity? So right now in China, they have a production capacity of up to 30 drones per day. Does this mean they're producing 30 drones every single day? No, this of course depends on demand, right? Depends on when they need units, where they need units, all that kind of stuff. But they have capacity for 30 drones per day. Will EAVision move back to the US? Well, they have never actually left. The branch is still in California. Hongjun has been in California, although he's been kind of a world traveler for the past several years. He lives in California. He's a US citizen. He is the CEO of EAVision US. So they're already here, and of course they want to grow here. Will EAVision drones be produced in the US? And as we talked about, this is already in process. We are working very closely with EAV. We thought we'd have to pull them in this. They're actually pushing us in this. They want this bad. So really excited about this. And they've closed the latest round of funding to kind of help in this process as well to scale. And the cool thing about this, we met with the CEO came here to our headquarters, and we talked with their team for a couple of days, and they were actually while they're here, they were on a fundraising campaign in the U.S. That's cool. He told me where he was going, and several ag companies, large ag companies, BASF is an investor in EAVision, so this is pretty cool. Okay, what is the warranty and support like for EAVision products? So support has been great thus far. Obviously, we don't have many of these drones out in the market right now, but we have dealt, if we need something, EAVision responds very quickly. And the warranty is very similar to DJI, but EAVision has a bit of a different system as far as like access to information. So EAVision dealers will have quicker and better access to flight records, things like that, for faster turnaround times on warranty, something we're really looking forward to. Okay, Ryan, what you got for me?
All right, I got 4 for you here. All right, first off, why would EAVision be treated differently than DJI by the Department of Defense?
Yeah, that's a fair question. So EAVision is an ag-only drone company. Where did the Department of Defense, why did they designate DJI as a Chinese military company? Well, there are obviously geopolitical issues at play here. Nothing is at face value. In here, I'm not saying that I agree with any of these designations, right? This is nothing that anybody wanted here. And we fought this, we're still fighting this. So this really has been derived from not necessarily the ag side of DJI, but the enterprise, the consumer level drones, the US. So I saw a stat that DJI's consumer and enterprise line of drones, US makes up like almost 50% of the revenue from those lines of drones. So they send a ton of drones, vast market share here in the US. So data security, right, them being a Chinese company, was a concern of the DoD. And then the fact that they supplied drones to the Chinese government for many different things, surveillance obviously being one of those things. And why did the Chinese government use DJI drones? Well, because DJI drones has awesome enterprise drones. It's just the fact of the matter, they produce a ton of them. So that's why China used them. If China were to use EAVision drones to do this, EAVision would probably be under scrutiny by the US government as well. But EAVision doesn't produce those drones. They just produce ag drones. So will it happen? I can't tell the future. Anything's possible, but it doesn't seem that the same issues that brought this about for DJI are at play with EAVision.
All right. Number 2, I had someone did answer in chat for me, so that helps. Number 3, will EAVision be coming to Australia? I don't know if you know that one or not. I've heard talks.
Reach out directly to us on that one. I'm assuming this is an Australian listener here. So reach out directly to us if you wouldn't mind on that one.
So you good to hit the next topic.
Okay, great. Okay, the J100. So let's talk about the J100. This is going to be probably a longer part of the webinar here. So just a few quick stats here. The J100 is the first spray drone with LiDAR, the first commercial spray drone in use with LiDAR, which basically enables advanced three-dimensional environment mapping. Really, really cool stuff as far as obstacle avoidance and terrain following goes. It has highly customizable nozzles. Now, this is going to take some getting used to here because there's a lot of different configurations you can do on the nozzles, from placement to mounting to bracket customization, disc customization. So a lot going on there. But nevertheless, it could be a benefit for some niche markets. It's fast, so it does have a top speed of 45 feet per second. Now, I know I think the P150 might be a little faster than that. 45 feet per second, that's 30 miles per hour, or a little over 30 miles per hour. It does drift turning, and it has very quick acceleration. It's faster than what we've seen with the T50 for sure. It is a very simple and repairable design. It is simplified, about as simple as it can get from what I can tell, to still be a robust platform and be easy to repair. So about a little bit less than 2/3 of the total parts that go into a T50 are in the J100 and much simplified electronics. We'll look at that here in a bit. Okay, there's work to be done still, obviously, on the J100 system as a whole, and work to be done in terms of what we want for, if we want to try to make it like the best all-around spray drone for the U.S. market. That's what I mean here as far as work to be done. So what we're working on right now is nozzle configuration and droplet sizes. So right now in the software, it just says 300 microns is the top. We know that we can get larger than that. We've tested this, and with some software, looming software changes, we'll get even larger than 430 of what we've tested so far. So more testing to come here. There's a 4G connectivity and control of this drone over 4G, which is cool for different situations. We need we just got an internal module we have to change out to test this. There is a 60-liter tank, so it's a 45-liter tank standard. There's a 60-liter tank available for it. We are getting some of these tanks in to test them. We know it has the thrust capacity, very similar to the P150 as far as thrust to weight ratio with 60 liters in it. So we know it has thrust capacity to do this. We just want to make sure that before we tell everybody to go out there and blow and go at 60 liters, that it's capable of to do this safely. And then software, this is the biggest thing, obviously, that we're looking at. If you've seen our other video up on YouTube, if you've seen this. So a few things in progress right now. US Cloud app is still being finished. It's live now. It just got basically released this beginning of this week. It's live now, but still being finished. And then the remote control app, RC app, is rapidly updating. It's got, the software is great right now, but there are things we've become accustomed to with the DJI system, like the customizations and whatnot, that we want to bring into the J100 system. That's happening currently. Okay, so on that droplet size thing, this is just a screenshot because I was too lazy to actually take the PDFs and copy them over here. Screenshot from our YouTube video on this. On the right-hand side is the T50. Left-hand side is the J100. Same parameters, 500 micron on, okay, let me back that up. The same volume per acre, so it's 5 gallons per acre with 4 nozzles on both drones, and the highest micron settings on both drones. That's 300 setting on the J100 software and 500 setting on the T50 software. And 2 different types of tests. Left-hand side was done with a drop scope. Right-hand side was done with Agri Spray Consulting. They do no affiliation with us, but they do spray drone and obviously helicopter and airplane trials for swath width. So you can see the biggest thing here really is the VMD, medium droplet size, on the T50, 496. medium droplet size on the J100, 437. There is one key difference here. In the T50, when we did this test, we had adjuvant in the tank, DRA, air shocker, guar-based DRA, really good DRA for clumping your droplets together, which likely increased our droplet size on the T50. So we may have gotten less than 496 had we not have that. So this gives us lots of promise that we can get at least 430 and if not higher with software changes. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum here, the J100 is capable of producing 10 micron size. It's the only spray drone currently available to be able to produce 10 micron size. It's very, very small, microscopic microns. This is part of EAVision's carve out. Their niche that they wanted to carve out was tree crops. And they wanted really small droplets to do this. They developed their nozzles to get really small droplets. And this is a card from the drop scope for one of those 10 micron size tests. You see it didn't even have, droplets weren't big enough to activate the water sensitive paper. So we didn't even get any register, didn't even register. I think we have to have like a minimum of like 20 or 25, something like that on the drop scope to register. And we didn't have that on here. So it is capable of producing very small droplets. Okay, we are going to jump into hardware, and bear with me as we do some finagling here on technology. I'm going to stop my screen share, and Ryan is going to switch your screen over to, hey, perfect, good deal, to my phone camera. Hopefully you guys can see this. It's not too blurry. I'm going to just point out a few things. Obviously, you can watch some of our videos on YouTube to get much more clear details on this, but I do want to point out a few things. That way you guys live on here have this information. So first off, yes, this is the J100, 45-liter tank sitting on scales right there. Those are weigh bars on 4 corners. It actually recesses up into the tank so that it doesn't sway side to side within the frame. It's basically, it keeps the center of gravity of the tank right in the center of the drone. Each of these weigh bars here are actually their own separate, well, they're all identical parts, and they unplug right down there. So the modularity on this system, really, really cool, better than what we've seen with the T50 side as far as like the scale and the modularity on the scale. So flows down into impeller pumps, very similar to DJI impeller pumps. Easy to access, pull out that pin right there. You can twist this off, it pulls out, and then you can take out your impeller, clean it out if you need to. Goes up into the flow meter right there, also very similar to DJI. And then around to your nozzles. Now this one here has a 4 nozzle setup on it. You don't have to have 4 nozzles, you can just operate with 2 nozzles. This one does have 4. So it splits out here. One goes through the arm, and then one goes under the arm right here, and then down into our 2 nozzles here. These are the CCMS mist nozzles. They are counter-rotating. This disc here rotates clockwise. This disc here rotates counterclockwise. So it actually spurts out your liquid right there in that disc. Alex, we got one? Oh, perfect, we got one over there. Okay, I'll show you guys more details on this here in just a second. And then as far as the mounting system, you guys have seen our hard plastic mounting system. Well, this is another option here. This is a rubberized mounting system. So if you bang it on something, then it just bends out of the way. Also, it's bolted on 4 corners right there. So again, the spray system, the nozzle system, extremely customizable, not just on your disc, what disc you use, but also on your mounting type, from rubber to hard plastic, and then your position. If you use 4 nozzles, where you put this second set of nozzles, you put them here on the rear arms, you put them here on the rear arms, do you put them here on the front arms? So you can customize all of that. Obviously, that just means we have to do a lot more testing to help you guys figure out what the best case scenario is. This is that hard plastic nozzle or mounting system. So this right there, that's hard plastic, and then that is a stainless steel buckle system. You can see that, there it goes. That's how it buckles on and off of the mounting system. So you can actually just replace this rubber with this hard plastic, attach 2 stainless steel clips right there, and you can clip this on if you wanted it that way. We don't know what's best right now. At first I thought I liked these. Now I think I kind of like these because they do bend out of the way. I don't know what's best. And then as far as your nozzles go, this right here is the inside of, yeah, there you go. So liquid comes out of that channel around the outside, right there. There's your shaft, and then inside and outside shaft. And you've got, this is your larger droplet size inner disc, smaller droplet size inner disc, and then your outer disc. So there's 4 different types of configurations that you can make here actually. And then the nozzle here, it's a really heavy nozzle, in part because of a large motor, but also because of a gearing system here as well. I do like the nozzle system, a really robust nozzle as far as the construction quality goes. Okay, let's move back over to the drone real quick. So obviously battery, single battery back in the back here. Very similar to placement as far as, compared to the DJI system. It does not have a clip, it just pulls out. There is no clip. Why is there no clip? Well, because we have 2 terminals. We have negative on this side, positive on this side, corresponding with the drone, meaning that the center of the weight of the drone is actually evenly dispersed over positive and negative, meaning, and then you've got obviously more, it press fits onto these, so you don't need a clip. I wasn't so sure about this to begin with, but we've had this thing banked pretty dang hard, and we haven't shot a battery out of it yet. While we're back here, I'll show you guys the back cover. It does just pop off, making maintenance pretty simple. And there's no distribution board back here, so literally the wires just come from our terminal block here. They bolt onto the bottom of that, and they come out here. Same thing on that side, and then there are these connectors here. They are unique connectors to each system here, and that's it. It's pretty simple. Okay, front of the drone here. This is the LiDAR on the front and LiDAR on the bottom right there. So this does your forward obstacle detection and terrain following, and same thing here. You've got a wide angle on the front, and it shoots up about like that. And then the back, there is an omnidirectional radar for rearward and side obstacle detection. The front cover does pop off just the same as the back cover, just like that. And here we have basically our one computer, one brain of the drone is all right here. What you see on the top, the fans on the back, and this gray box is all one unit. Different than like the DJI system is, where you have separate modules. All the modules are baked into this. You can replace the modules in here, but it's all one module as it comes. Pretty simple to unplug on the sides there. There's your LiDAR unit on the front. RTK antennas, just like any other drone. We do have very similar to like the DJI system on the cam locks. There are sensors in these cam locks to detect if they're closed or not, and it folds up about the same size really as the T50, just a bit shorter. And then our FPV camera right here on a gimbal. Okay, the batteries, they are 29,000 milliamps, and they've got the blade construction, and this is for cooling and modularity. You can replace the top board of this battery very simply and easily, and then you can replace each of these cells. You have to have proper training and equipment to do so. Okay, while we're on the hardware side of it, we'll look at the spreader next. This is the spreader upside down, actually. Not much to show if you guys are familiar with like the DJI spreader system. This is almost identical to the DJI spreader system. It mounts in there the same way that the spray tank does, plugs in just to the bottom, right where you unplug your spray tank, plug that in, and that's, you're good to go. This will hold, how many pounds, Alex? About 115? Yeah. 130 pounds is what this should hold if you have right density of product. And then we've got charger here. Charger is all one unit as far as your charger and cooler. So your charger's actually down here. You've got access to your power supplies back here. They are replaceable power supplies, like on the C8000 DJI charger. They can be replaced. if they burn out. And then the same thing as far as mounting positive and negative. Cool thing is these terminal blocks that the battery connects to are the same terminal blocks that are on the drone for basically ease of modularity, fewer parts. And then this is the super link right here. So the super link is an RTK and relay all in one. So it combines, it's just basically the same relay system that DJI has, the T40 and 50, but also has RTK capabilities if you want to use that. It does come with a really cool tripod. This extends up to about 13 feet high. This has positive and negatives. Positives are, it does have a long battery life, 8 hours. You can charge it while in use, and it does combine both features. However, it is heavy. So if you fly these up, like your DJI relays up on a matrice, use 2 of them on matrice, probably just gonna be able to fit 1 of those up there. And if you want to use RTK and a relay station, this has to stay stable, obviously, for RTK, so you can't mount it up on a big pole that's waving around in the air if you're using the RTK function and the relay function simultaneously. There are, of course, workarounds for this. Okay, last thing here is remote box. The remote box, very similar to DJI remote. It does have an RTK, can use GNSS as well, mapping tool. And then your relay super link fits right there. Okay, I think that's it on the hardware. Okay, now I'm going to attempt to, I guess, Ryan, can you unshare my,
Yes, sir.
my screen here, and then I'll share my other screen.
All right, it's all yours, boss.
Cool, you all still hear me?
Yes, sir. We do have a good amount of questions as well in return, or in terms of kind of the hardware we walked over.
Should we break and do hardware questions now?
We can, yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and break and do hardware questions now.
All right.
Yeah, you read them off, I'll answer.
All right, so I got real quick. First one, what is battery flight time fully loaded?
So as far as hover time, fully loaded. Hover time fully loaded, Alex. 8.5 minutes is what we got fully loaded. This it kind of surprised us. I mean, not necessarily, I guess. You know, the battery is 1,000 milliamps less than like the T50 battery, same voltage. So it did kind of surprise us. I think part of that might be due to larger props and less motors. So each motor has a bit more efficiency there. We've really, I guess I've been impressed with in terms of battery cycle times and charge times and flight times. You know, when we're operating like on, you know, a decent size field, you know, quarter-mile rows or whatever, where you've got, you know, multiple down back passes, you know, maybe 4 down back passes, something like that. We usually come back with like between 50 and 60%, as long as you're not flying too far, you know, to the home point. And then we're able to charge, you know, it's basically, you know, at that scenario, it's basically a 1-to-1 flight time to charge time ratio, very similar to like the DJI T50 and C10,000 charger. If you guys have used that, that's a very similar scenario with that charger. This charger is 1,000 less watts. It's 9,000 watts. So it does work on kind of a cheapo Harbor Freight 9,500 running watt generator.
All right. Next one. What does she weigh completely empty with no battery?
Completely empty with no battery, right around 80 pounds. Is that right, Alex? Yeah, pretty close to 80 pounds.
Are you concerned?
Very similar to T50.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. Yeah. Are you concerned about the heat off of the charger counteracting the cooling system?
Good question. One we haven't been asked thus far. Are we concerned about that? It's not a concern that's crossed my mind. These fans on this charger, they sound like a freaking jet engine whenever these fans are running. Kind of annoying, honestly, if you're standing right next to it, but they blow a lot of air. So I don't know if I'd be too concerned about it, frankly. I mean, always best to charge your batteries in the shade anyways, so put it in the shade, keep the auto, it's got auto fan turn on, keep that on, should be fine.
And it read obstacles above the drone.
So there is not a direct upwards obstacle detection on the drone. So you've got a pretty wide angle coming out the front. So if you're coming towards an obstacle that is going to be above the drone, it will detect this and plan the flight path accordingly. However, if you take off directly under an obstacle, or if for some reason it didn't sense an obstacle and it goes straight up, then it will not detect that obstacle. So proper planning is definitely important there in terms of your return to home height if you're operating around power lines and taking off under power lines.
Going along with that, at least on the radar side, how does LiDAR do with dust and landing during and takeoff? And does the drone react if the LiDAR gets dirty?
Yeah, so I mean we've taken off in really sandy, dusty soil almost exclusively whenever we've been running thus far. I haven't noticed an impact. Of course, that is a recommendation that EAVision has if your, LiDAR on your front or your bottom does get caked with debris, or you're spraying something and you have the front nozzles on, right? If front nozzles on and you're spraying some thick product that can, cake onto it and get some dust on there and cake dust onto it, you're going to want to wipe that off. We haven't had any issues with that thus far, but of course, I mean, we also have not had J100 through a full spray season here yet. So keep a microfiber cloth with you. I mean, same thing with like the T50 and T40 binocular vision cameras, right? Just, wipe them off. They get dirty. Same thing here.
Going along with what you just said at the end there, do you know the usable life of different components, or does EAVision know the usable life of different components?
Yeah, so obviously just because we haven't had a full season with the J100 here in the US doesn't mean that it hasn't been tested a lot. So EAVision does have a list of basically wear components, lifespan, when you should think about changing those out from an hour limitation on the pumps. Actually get that in liquid. So amount of liquid pumped through the pumps. So too much to go through here, but yes, we have that list. We'll be putting, so a lot of this, we're building out our knowledge hub right now for the J100, and we're putting that up here shortly.
Someone else said, I've heard this a little bit, like people like the DJI generator, does EAVision have an option such as a generator?
EAVision does have an option for a generator, but like with DJI had to get, oh shoot, what's the bureau that regulates power and generators here in the US? I don't remember exactly. Anyways, they basically had to, get it to US, North American standard as far as plugs and whatnot on it for the DJI generator to make it to the US market. Because, other countries don't have some of these stipulations. They can just, use the Chinese generators. So that was not a top priority for us. After running this charger here on $1,000 Harbor Freight 9,500 watt generator, and it run it just fine, I was comfortable with that to start with. Will we bring that generator to the U.S. market? There's enough demand for it, possibly so.
All right. Mark, I'll get you in just a second, man. I see your hands up. Do you know the current battery charging time?
Yeah, so current battery charging times, that's just going to depend on from what level you're charging from and to. It's like I said, it's gonna be very similar with like the C10,000 charger and charger times on the T50 battery, from 50% to full or 30% to full or 6% to full. Our cycle times when we've been running it on some of our larger fields are 6.5 minutes or so. And we're using about 40% battery in that cycle time, and we're able to charge up that 40% battery within that 6.5 minutes of cycle time. But of course, you drain it down to 30%, that's going to increase your charge time. So it's just going to depend, but it's going to be very similar to what you're going to experience with the DJI T50 with the C10,000, not the C8000 charger, the C10,000 charger.
I'm gonna let Mark talk real quick. He's got his hand up.
Yeah.
Mark, if you unmute your mic there, you should be able to talk, man.
So my big concern is I'm in Montana and I fly primarily mountainous terrain. My concern with existing drones out there is the ability for them to be able to recognize trees without a whole lot of foliage on. Transparent is what I refer to them, or opaque. And I've had a drone fly right into a bloody tree. And the other issue is increasing terrain and traversing mountainsides and ferry towing. And so coming out as a fixed wing manned aircraft crop duster, we would just come in and drop down onto a target area. Whereas with a drone, I'm ascending and traversing, increasing elevation to reach my target area, my target envelope. And so I just need to be able to be assured that when I put it into the program with RTK, that it's going to be able to recognize some of these challenges with the terrain and with the vegetation out there.
Mm-hmm. Sure. What drone was that flew into that tree, Mark?
It was a Helio.
Oh, okay. All right, no comment. Yeah, so we
elaborate on that.
Well, Helio is not known for the best obstacle avoidance. That's what I meant by that. In some cases, no obstacle avoidance because you have to turn it off to operate it at certain speeds. So not something we're going to get into there on that side of it. I've been very impressed with the obstacle recognition and terrain following on the J100 with the LiDAR. We've literally every single demo that we have done, every time we've had it out in the field, we've tried to crash it. It's not something we do typically ever with other systems like DJI system. Like we don't try to purposefully, not map an obstacle and try to just see how it navigates around it in front of people, right? But we do that with the J100 every single time. So I've got a lot of confidence in the LiDAR recognition system. And as far as like traversing terrain and ferry times and like customizing how it goes out there, there are settings you can get. I'll get into those in the software side. Yeah, I've got lots of confidence in the obstacle recognition and terrain following capabilities of the J100. The only times we've had it stop, let's see. Sometimes we've had it stop whenever it encountered an obstacle, and never had it crash an obstacle yet. The only time I had it stop is like if it was really windy and it was turning around while it was spraying on the corners, and it blew like a cloud of, like if you had your micron size really low, like 10 or 100 microns, and it blew that cloud of mist in front of the drone as it turned the corner, then it recognized that cloud of mist as an obstacle. Same thing, we blew a bunch of snow, flying over a bunch of snow, and it blew up the snow in front of the LiDAR, and it recognized the snow as an obstacle. That's when it stopped. It didn't run into anything. We flew it. There was one time we flew it at a tree line at 32 feet per second on the way out to go spray. We put the spray point on top of the trees, actually, basically to see like, okay, if you screwed up and mapped your start point on the top of a tree line, what would it do? And so it flew out there at full speed, saw the trees, it stopped and put the brakes on. It didn't go up and over the trees. It just stopped, put the brakes on, and then you have to like basically go in there and hit confirm. And then once you hit confirm, then it actually climbed the trees, went over on top of them on the start point, and it started from that point and started spraying. So I've got no problems about it.
What about fowl, birds.
Yeah, any drone that's worth its weight will stop if a bird flies in front of it. That's a big enough obstacle to stop. Should be stop any drone, I would think. I'd hope, anyways. You know, that's it can be kind of
Eagles, geese, swans, ducks.
yeah, yeah. If something flies in front of the drone and it sees it, it's probably going to stop or try to avoid it. One of the two. Yeah, that's
How
the
about if
same with. Go ahead.
how about if flight paths are um, basically colliding? If the geese, flock of geese is flying in from the left, and I'm proceeding to the south, and it's going to recognize those geese at that altitude and stall or pause.
If something gets in front of this drone and in front of its flight path, because it builds out a 3D. You can see there's a couple videos I think we have online like show what it actually does within the software. It builds out a three-dimensional environment in real time as it flies, and it plans the flight path through that environment. And so if there's an obstacle within that environment, it's going to try to plan a path around it as it can see the obstacle. If something emerges out of the blue, right in front of the drone, then it's going to try to stop. When I say it's going to try to stop, I've seen enough drone crashes and enough times when things should have stopped, like on our DJI side, we have the most experience on, and it doesn't stop. You think it shouldn't, it doesn't, right? So I can't say in every single scenario it will stop. And then in some scenarios, like if a bird passes in front of it and then it's gone, you don't want it to stop. But guess what? It saw that bird and it was really close to the drone, so it's going to stop. So I can't say every single scenario that you're going to experience, but what I can say is I'm very confident in the ability of the obstacle avoidance and terrain following.
All right, gentlemen, I'm interviewing here. We're gonna keep moving if that's all right.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. In terms of the RTK, it's kind of two different questions put into one here. Can the J100 use cellular RTK, or does it have to have the base station? And can you talk about how the RTK station versus the handheld device work?
Yeah, you bet. So first off, let me clarify. You don't have to use RTK at all on the J100 system. Just like with the DJI system, you do not have to use RTK. I can count on one hand the number of times we've connected this drone to RTK. So you don't have to use RTK. And RTK will not improve your terrain following, will not improve your obstacle avoidance. It will just improve your path to path and really day-to-day accuracy and landing, accuracy, positioning. So we don't typically run RTK. Yes, you can run Core's Network, DigiFarm, 4G, cellular, RTK, just like with a DJI system or XAG system, you can run those, and its connection works the same way. Yeah. What was the next question you had there? Oh, the base station. Okay, so you've got the base station there, the Super Link, right? That is your tripod base station. That's if you don't have access to 4G. We're not going to use that as our base station. If we're going to use RTK, we're not going to use that. We don't use that on the DJI system. DJI has RTK also. We don't use theirs. We use DigiFarm. It's way easier not to set up a tripod. You've got, that's a base station, the SuperLink base station, and the mapping tool. Let me grab that real quick so you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, this is the RTK mapping tool, survey tool that I think he's referring to. And it does have RTK positioning on top. If you have this connected to, you have the Bluetooth connected to the remote. And then if the remote is connected to RTK, then this is connected to RTK. If the remote is not connected to RTK, then this is just running on GNSS. So this is basically, this is nothing more than if you want to map your field boundaries physically. Be physically in the spot when you map that field boundary point. That's what this is for. We're probably not gonna use it that much. We'll use it from time to time though. You can, it's kind of cool. You can connect it to like a mount and put it up on top of your gator or whatever and drive around your field boundary.
All right. This one is is in terms of the spreader. Can the spreader deliver a product of 1.5 pounds per acre, and the material he spreads is light? Will prop wash affect its distribution?
Yes. So spreader system, we don't have, well, any experience with the spreader system. We have not used the spreader system yet. But I can tell you that just looking at the guts and how it looks on the inside and the outside, the discs and everything, it's going to function just like the DJI spreader system is. It is a gate controlled spreader system. With DJI system, 1.5 or whatever you said pounds. Depends on the product, right? If it flows easily and isn't clumpy or whatever, then it can probably do it. But you know, as long as you calibrate it correctly, then you probably will be okay. Prop wash, of course, is going to affect anything that you spread, if it's light, especially if it's light. So spreading is not a science. Spraying is not even a science, and spreading is less so a science. So on any drone for that matter, it's never perfect.
Pretty easy one to answer here. A couple of times asked, can you swarm multiple J100s?
What was that? A mustache? Yeah. Alex told me to take a step back. Somewhere here, a mustache, right there. I got a mustache. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Now I forgot the question. Ryan, sorry.
Can you swarm multiple J100s?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. You can swarm multiple J100s. Currently, right now, in the app, we'll get into the software. I told you guys it's gonna be a long webinar. We'll get into the software here in a bit. Currently in the software, with like the account system, each drone has to have a separate login. It's like a separate pilot email, right? Account to operate simultaneously. You can switch, from one drone to the next on your one account, but if you're doing it simultaneously, each drone has to be on a separate account. That's what the system's like right now. That's changing. It'll be just like the DJI system, where you can have multiple drones on one account, all operating at the same time. But it's not happening yet. But yes. So regardless of that point, yes, you can swarm. But I don't know how familiar you guys are with swarming these drones from anybody. Each drone has to have, and this is how I've seen it in every single system, each drone has to have a specific flight path, right? You don't just pick the entire boundary and say 3 drones, go. You take that boundary, you can chop it up. There's a tool in the system where you can chop that boundary up into separate areas, essentially. You can name each area separately, do whatever you want there, and then you send each drone, to different areas and kind of bunny hop down the field as you go. This works the same way that I've seen anyways with every other drone system, with the exception of Helio. Helio, you set it up the same way, separate boundaries and flight paths, but you have all the drones on one screen. Whereas this, you just have 2 remotes, and they don't communicate together necessarily.
All right, I'm gonna say let's continue on that one, because if not, we're gonna be here all night before we even get to software.
Okay, you betcha. Yeah, be respectful of everybody's time, just in case you are in a crunch. We will answer your questions. I will stay here till midnight if I have to answer your questions. But we are going to move on to software, as long as everything's still connected. Okay, you guys see my screen?
I see it. You're good.
Okay, getting there, almost. Oh, we're there. Okay.
Yeah, we got you.
One moment. Technical difficulties. Okay, we're good. Okay, so you guys are seeing what I'm seeing right now on the screen. Hopefully it's not too laggy. Yeah, there you go. We're going through basically a wireless video transfer here. So this is what you're looking at is my screen. This is the J100 remote. Oh, we didn't talk about hardware on the remote. We probably should talk about hardware on the remote before we get into this. So the remote itself, as far as the sticks, the button layout, the screen, the processor inside, the communication. Okay, there we go. The communication to and from the drone, the range and everything. It's almost identical to the DJI T40 and T50 remote. even the size itself is almost identical. Fit and finish, probably not as good as the DJI system. It's just as far as like ergonomics, right? Right here, gripping onto it, DJI is a bit better there, but it does have rubber pads. I mean, it's not a big deal in my opinion. Peripherals are all right up there, but it does have a bit less ergonomics. And then battery, internal battery only, no external battery. Now we've tested this. It does have an 8+ hour battery life without plugging it in. You can charge it while in use. What we're going to do, Velcro a big power bank back there, plug it into USB-C with a short cord, then we'll have a 16+ hour battery life. So anyways, that's the hardware on the remote. Okay, all right, I'm gonna show you, let's see, let's just do mapping first. That's probably what everybody wants to see first. Mapping, making plots, flight paths, all that kind of stuff. Now, I'll start with these two here. I've got two fields pulled up, obstacle and L, just to show you kind of some of the route planning side of it. So I'm gonna click on those first. So from here, we've got a bunch of different options. I'm gonna just go ahead and go to operate real quick. And here you see it plans out your flight path automatically, just like the T50 does and other systems, XAG does for you, the most efficient flight path, right? And it will do different directions within the field. If you have an obstacle like this, where it doesn't make any sense to fly north and south right there, it will fly a diagonal or whatever direction it needs to based on most efficient flight path. And then if I cancel that, pull up this field here, or within the lagginess here. Okay, well, this field here, it operates, and there's the same thing there.
Yeah,
it does this on a micro and a macro level.
Okay,
so
we're good.
You know, an entire. Okay, so you guys are seeing what I'm seeing right now on the screen. Hopefully, it's not too laggy. So now, as far as
there you go.
We're going
Creating
boundaries. We'll pick a new little
video
spot
transfer
here. We'll do that. So
this is what you're looking at is my screen. This is the J100
right there.
remote.
This
we didn't talk about hardware on the remote.
Right now, you only see one boundary right there. So this does live cloud sync. So if you are connected
the remote
to the internet,
itself, as far
it shows
as
you the boundaries that are closest to you,
sticks,
as far as
button
like
layout,
to
where you're
screen
at
with the
GPS
processor inside,
communication.
If you research that location, then it shows you more boundaries in that location. The
communication,
the internet, the drone, the range, and everything. It'll show you all. It's almost identical. Okay, so we're going to create a new DJI T40 and T50 remote. Even with just the size itself, the name, fit and finish, you can select different landforms, basically the terrain following. As far as like ergonomics, right? Pretty much everything we run, we just run on flat land. Even hilly fields, we run there. Flatland mode, but it does have rubber pads. Mainly just your flight speed if you're running on really, not a big deal in my opinion. The only thing that matters. Peripherals are all right up there, but it does have a bit the ability that if you're running on a and then battery power lines, internal battery, navigate around and over, no external like battery. Forestry area. Now we tested this; it does sticking out. Have you can put that power line battery life on without plugging it in. Ramps up. You can charge it while in use. We're going to do Velcro on those things. A big power bank. Okay, there we created. Plug it into USB-C with a short cord, then we'll have a field. We can make our boundary one of three ways, either with a survey tool. That's the hardware on the remote right there. The drone by flying it around, or just hand draw. I'm going to show you. Let's see. Let's just do mapping. So we're going to do boundary points or circular border. Mapping, making plots, circular border, flight paths, all that kind of stuff. And then I'll start with these two here. I've got two fields pulled up. Obstacle and L, just to show you edges of the route planning, just a circle. Just click on those first. Irrigates that. So from here, we've got a bunch of different options. We're going to just go ahead and go to either hover drone over it or do this. And here you see it plans out your flight path automatically. Circular, just like the T50 does. You go to fine tuning. XAG does for you. Set the most diameter flight path or the length, and it will do different directions. And there you've got your circular like this, where it doesn't make any sense to fly north and south right there. It will fly a diagonal or whatever direction it needs to. We can go and we can add an obstacle if we wanted to. So we have normal obstacle or circular obstacle. Circular obstacle is what it is. It's a circular obstacle, just like we saw here with the boundary. But the normal obstacle here, we find our obstacle. We hit obstacle 1. That's the difference between like this and DJI. Actually, like start an obstacle and finish an obstacle with a button. And then hit the plus icon. That's going to drop in your obstacles there. Okay, points. Well, this field here, point mapping, very it operates every other system. And there's the same thing there. It does and then you finish the micro right and the macro level. So finish, hit that entire, and you can make a new obstacle field or just obstacle spot of a field. Or you can switch over to a non-spray area, no-spray zone. And creating boundaries, we'll pick a new little spot the same way. We'll do that. So we click on spray zone, like for a waterway right or whatever you want to do. This does, there's so right now you only see one boundary right there. So this does live cloud sync. Finish, and there you go. You are connected to the internet. That only shows you the boundaries that are closest to you. Normal obstacle, like highlights all of your normal obstacles, the GPS location, and then you can go back to adding more. And if you research that location here, then it shows you more boundaries in that location. We can delete it. If you don't have it connected to the internet point, then it will show you all the fields, and we can drag that point. Okay, so we're going to create a new plot here. All this is very similar to we'll just give it a name. Okay, that you can select different landforms, basically the terrain following type. I've got a pretty much everything we run, we just run on flat land. Even hilly fields we run on flat land. No, it doesn't matter. Round mainly just the flight speed. If you're running on really hilly stuff, and your flight speed is the only thing that matter. Flat land versus everything else doesn't really matter. It does have the ability that if you're running on a field that has tons of power lines, you have to navigate around and over, or like a forestry area where you have little bitty sticks, sticking out. Then you can put that power line mode on, and it basically ramps up the LiDAR capabilities and slows the drone down to navigate around. My expert over here. Okay, there we've created. That should be it. There it is. Okay. I started off to a boundary one of three ways. So now we hit save, and the drone by flying it around the field, or just because our remote with the crosshair there. Yes, we select our point types. We're going to do boundary point or circular border. It is only pulling the fields closest to the remote border. We just do a quick search, and then this is for like a pivot, center pivot. If you guys just spray, we can select it. You don't want to spray the edge here. We can real survey it, which means where the pivot obstacle or whatever. That. Or we can do a bunch of stuff down that pivot, either hover the drone over it or do this, find doing multiple drones in one field, and you have to divide, and it will drop right a circular, not the best example, there. Round field here. Then you got to find tuning, divide the pivot in half, the diameter, then we hit or the length of that pivot. We come in here and we make a point on this side, and there you've got your circular border. Circular. We can make another line if 1 and 2, we can do 2 divisions at once. From here, just hit done. We can go and we can add give our 2 new fields a name. Normal obstacle or circular obstacle. Circular obstacle is what it is. It's a circular obstacle, just like we saw here with the boundary. But the normal obstacle is going to break these fields. So we find our obstacle. We hit obstacle 1. That's the difference between like the DJI actually like start an obstacle and finish an obstacle. There you go. There's our pivot 1. And then hit the plus icon. That's going to drop in your obstacles on our list as well. And this is just point-to-point mapping, very similar to every other system on the market. Let's pivot 1. You see pivot 1, you finish the obstacle right up there. That was there. Obstacle finish. Just cut it that button and of the boundary entirely. Add wide to either put an obstacle there, whatever. Or you can switch over to a non-spray area, no spray zone. You can go into operate, and there it is. That map works the same way. Cancel. Make your no spray zone like for a waterway or whatever you want to do. There's a no spray zone. It actually shows you, a little icon there for no spray, and then click finish, and there you go. And wanted to edit that hand draw, that obstacle here. Just go back to normal obstacle. It highlights all of your normal obstacles, and then you go back to adding more, or select this one here, and then we can delete it. We can select a point. We can hit fine tuning, and we can drag that point. Okay. So now here I can actually hand create a custom flight route. Other systems. You don't want to spray the entire field boundary or field in general. Probably about you just want to make a flight route that goes over a levee. Just spray a levee or a fence line or just one path or 2 paths or whatever, and just make it odd shapes and everything. Then we can hit new route. We can give it a name. I'll call whatever. There we go. Hit confirm. And then we can click on that, and now we can make this custom flight route. And you can make this with either on the crosshair, or we can do this with the RTK, or you can do this with the drone if you wanted to. You can take the drone off, actually, and then lock the position of the screen in the middle of the drone. And you can mark those points with the drone using the hand-drawn function over here. So you can fly that drone down that should be it. That levee, yeah, there it is. And mark that levee. I started off to show it on the hand draw too. All right, so now we hit save, and there going to save the field, but because our remote is on GPS, this waterway, and we are the internet turn only pulling fields closest to the remote. Back up. We just do a quick search, and there a field pops. And then within here, we can actually select these individual lines. I got that line selected. We can come in here, we can resurvey, which means switch that line to not spray. So I want to spray that line, or we can do a bunch of stuff down there. It's not going to be sprayed. So I talked about every other line is going to be sprayed. Doing multiple drones in one field, then you have to divide the field. And so this point here, we can switch to turn. Example with a round field changes. But if we're going to divide the white in half, that means it's going to not spray from point 1 to 2 here, and we make a point on this 2 to 3. It's going to spray. When it hits point 3, it's going to stop, and we can make another turn, another line 1 and 2. We can do, and then it's going to spray on that next line over to point 4. We give our two new fields a name, curve around that line. Not actually going to stop. Really cool stuff here. If you want to do like repeatable spray a levy, a few times a year, come back next year, cut the obstacles as well if there are obstacles there. Alex, there you go. Let me show you anything else. Our pivot 1, pivot 2. Let me know. All right, you can see those on our list. There you go. Well, you can make multiple of these here. Pivot 1. Okay, let's pivot 1. You see pivot 1 go back to this field here that was there. It just cut it out, and from here we can the boundary just entirely. Obviously, we can copy it. We can do whatever, edit it, like edit the actual, and then land go into operate power lines or whatever it's got in there. No, there. Cancel. We can select a crop. It's got a bunch of crops, and then none of that really matters that much. Half again. Hit confirm. Search for the field. Get back on it. Come back in here. Oops. And go into hand draw, and then we can transfer this field or gift this field, meaning if you map the field here on your remote, but you map it for a buddy of yours that you're doing some spraying for, and you can't finish that field, you can actually hit the gift button, and you can, if they have an account, you can type in, so now here, I can actually hand create email, phone number, whatever they have on their account. So you don't want to spray the entire field boundary, send that wirelessly field in general, even if they're not on your account, right? Or your route that goes over a levy operation. Just spray a levy or a fence then we can also transfer this field. And transfer actually means just make it a demand and everything. Now, a demand is like a new route. So if you've got a name, Farmer John called and he's got 10 fields, he wants to spray with fungicide, then you can create a demand or a work order. We can click on that, and now we can map all those 10 fields, and you can make this with either assign them all to, or we can do this work order, RTK, or you can do this with the drone if you wanted to. Take the drone off, actually, and then lock the position and move the screen. If you go to our middle of the drone, should show up right here. So long as the drone is functioning. There we go. That drone. So there within our demand, this would show all of our fields and our fungicide demand. But here I'll just show you on the hand draw. Within the fungicide demand, it's got like I'll come over here. Customer information, contact information of the customer, product information, and pest information. All of it saves. Something we've been really wanting. Make the right turn. So click on that. It goes back to the regular thing that you're looking at here. We've been looking at. And then within here, we can actually select these individual lines. Like that line spray zone and obstacle. And we can switch that line to templates. So 2 gallons for that line. Select that template. Now that line there is not here for us. Then our other line is going to be sprayed. This is very similar to DJI or XAT. And to this point here, of course, we wanted to change these things, and that changes target volume, and we can white click on it, and we can go to that means it's going to not spray from point 1 to 2. Point 2 height 3 is going to spray on corners. Is actually how fast it turns around on corners. 1 is pretty fast in position. It goes up to 5. And then it's going to spray. It can turn that next line over to point 4. Corners. When it gets to point 4, it's going to curve around that line. And then you've got 2 settings for entering and exiting. If you want to do like repeatable, 4 settings, for entering and exiting. Next year for the same. You set those independently of each other. Okay. If you want to train follow into the field, you can show enable imitation, or you can turn that off. Fixed altitude only. All right, cool. Turn obstacle off. You can make multiple of these. You can crank up your entry and exit speed up to 45 feet per second. We'll go back to this field here. Opposite. And where here we can go into the field really fast. We can copy it. We can delete it when it comes out of the field. Edit the flow and make sure to land obstacles in and out of the field. Lines or whatever it's got in there. We'll no there. We can select the crops. So then crops in here. We better none of that really matters. Fire that drone up, Alex. Hit confirm. Get back on it. I think I can show something in here about everything. Okay, route spacing. Obviously, you got that there. We can transfer this field or gift this field, meaning if you map the field here on your remote, but you map it for a buddy of yours. Hit our little heading angle there. We can change our angle. Actually hit the gift button, and you can, if they have an account, you can type in their account right there, and email or phone number. Then we can change our start point, and you can actually send that wirelessly anywhere along their boundary, even if they're not on your account. Start point anywhere where you want it to be. your operation. Not just on the corners. And then we can also transfer this field. And transfer actually means to a demand. Back out and come back in. Demand is like a work area priority planning. So if you've got where actually Farmer John calls and he's got 10 fields he wants to spray with fungicide points, then you can create a demand or a work order from Farmer John. Then we can map all those 10 of those fields safety point there, assign them all to one there, work order, add one there. The drone's going to go one side demand and 3 before it goes to that green start moved. Then it's going to go to our demand on the way home. Show up right here, so long as our system is functioning. There we go. So there within our demand, we show all of our fields within our fungicide demand. And then within the fungicide demand, it's got like, and then we can do a bunch of other stuff. Customer information, contact information of the customer, boundary spray, where we'll spray the boundary first, and test information. All of those boundary only spray, where we really want the boundary, or no boundary at all. So click on that, we can reference to this boundary and make our flight path. We've been looking south, reference that boundary. Or same thing. There you go. No spray zone. And we can and this one here we can do template auto spray. 2 gallons per acre. Click on that template. See how that changes the lines right there for us. Where there's gray now. So that's very similar to DJI corners. Corners. Of course, we want to change these things. And then we have all of our spray turned off. And just want to apply it, and we can go to 10 gallons per acre instead. And you've got shrinking where you can actually shrink these borders. Right now, it's the same thing with height, speed. Increment on corners is actually how fast it turns around a corner. 1 is pretty fast, so it goes to 5. Well, it can turn corners like drift on corners very quickly. Next week, turn around this very fast. Then we hit new operation. 2 settings for entering and exiting. Connected. So you can hit 4 settings for entering and route. Then we can actually set those independently of waypoints and we want to train follow into the field. That's enable imitation. All of these parameters that we're looking at right now, fixed altitude only. These can all be changed after you start spraying the field. So you can crank up everything with the inception exit of no boundary, 45 feet boundary only, whatnot. You can do this. You can actually change a flight path. You can go. You want to go in the middle of an operation really fast. Start spraying north and south, but you want to come out of the wind changes direction, slow, and make sure it avoids the obstacles. You can change your direction. Then you do that separately. While the drones, at a refill, you can refill battery swap. Change your direction, you drone west, Alex. And then it just changes that for the remainder of the field. Some things here. And it does not change anything. Okay, route spacing, obviously you got that there, up to 50 feet route spacing, down to 3. Alex, anything else we're getting flight path the most efficient way, but we can adjust this, hit our little heading angle there. We can change our angle or hit our degrees and change our degrees. Oh yeah, that's right. Shine right. You can shrink both all borders and also shrink an additional single border. Then we can change our start point, hit start point on, and then kind of like anywhere along the boundary, and it will put that mapping point anywhere we want it like that. Up here on the top right, we've got our turn that off. Different settings. This is all very similar. Back out, come back in, we'll go back to this area priority planning system where it actually puts the start point settings to the drone. You can use safety points, radar settings. So you hear our start points here. They were taking off from right here. Spray settings, spreader settings, remote add a safety point there. We can add one there. We can add one there. RTK, drone's going to go 1. There you can put your source right there before it goes to that green start point. Yeah, it's going to go 3, 2, 1 over the way home. So this Quinzoon is some Chinese thing. There's your in trip for cores right there. You can also change these and then you've got battery management. You also have a quick repair tab. So and then we can do a bunch of other stuff. We can do a boundary spray where we'll spray the boundary first and then spray the interior or boundary only spray where I'll just spray the boundary. Or dealer boundary at all. Start that claim to this boundary and make our flight path north and south. Time on the drone, that boundary, or same thing, click the module that was faulty, and then we can that claim, change and then get back to your phone. Auto spray. You can click on that and see how that changes our lines right there. To where they're just gray now. So that's basically no spray on corners or spray on corners. Exit the plot. This terminology is being changed right now. And then we have all of our spray turned off. We just want to fly it and test it. Homepage, and you've got shrinking where you can actually shrink these borders. Right now it's just 10 feet. This is being changed. So what Alex just did there, we turned off that shrink everything down in, but we're still connected to it on single side as well. And the flight controller has a 10-minute internal battery. So while you're swapping, then we hit new operation. You don't lose connection with your drone. It remains connected. It just kills the power to the route. Then we can actually, and so like our waypoint settings and everything, cut the route down while they're going through a battery swap. All of these parameters that we're looking at right now, and then we've got these can all be changed here that we can run after you start spraying the field. Everything with the exception of no boundary, right? Boundary only, whatnot. That's the one thing you can't change. You can actually change your flight path. So there's a couple in the middle of an operation here. Start spraying north and south. This and the wind changes direction. This is the US version account. We don't have much records in this. And you can change your direction. You have a lot of records from a bunch of pilots. Drones, then all at a refill, all the refill battery on your account change your direction show up and west here on this screen. And then it just changes that for the remainder of this remote or another remote. It does not all show up here. Change anything you've already sprayed. Pretty cool stuff. You can pull those up and look at those. I don't think we actually sprayed anything. Alex, anything I'm forgetting right here? Yeah. And there obviously some stuff still being ported over from Chinese to US units. Then we've got our demand. You can change our demands. Yeah, you can shrink both all borders and also shrink our entire account, not just this remote. Okay. And always so that's kind of like you're always syncing up and down from mapping, parameter setting, stuff like that. Okay. Up here on the top right, we've got our overlooked on the different settings. This is all very similar. And I don't know, Ryan, we need to pause here before we go into the cloud DJI system.
Wouldn't hurt because there's a lot of stuff kind of in terms of software here.
Radar settings. We may be here till midnight. Okay, let's go. Settings.
Yeah, it's gonna be a nice long night. Hope you brought some drinks and get you over there. Yeah. All right. This is a two-parter.
RTK.
Is there a way to change flight path due to wind change?
Yeah, some stuff hasn't been ported over yet.
That kind of goes for DJI and EA.
Depends on which side you want to answer here. Right there. And then so I don't know necessarily what you're saying. You got battery management. There is no drone that actually tells you what direction you should fly according to the wind. These drones don't know what direction the wind's blowing. Power drives themselves to flock the birds. If the wind's blowing north and south, you might want to fly east and west. Closest dealer, essentially. Now, if the wind changes direction, it pulls the information from that, but I can't really demonstrate it on the drone. Video on this on YouTube. And so the wind changes direction, and then you want to change your flight path, and then get back to your phone, and you can middle of the field, take pictures. You can do that with the EAVision system very easily. It's just you go into that operation tab thing, and you select a different first. You just change your flight path. That's all you do, and then it just changes your flight path for the remainder of the home page. Not what you've already sprayed, but the remainder of the field. And you can do that consecutively. So what Alex just did, start spraying north and turned off wind changes direction. All right, now let's spray east and west. We're still connected to it, operating on the next part of the field, east and west. The flight controller has now we got to spray diagonal battery. And it'll just while you're swapping that field down and down and down, your battery only changes when you haven't sprayed. You don't lose connection with your drone. It remains connected. DJI does not do that. The start of the motors. That's what it does.
Awesome. Yeah, so that just answer the second question as well there, so that helps a lot.
While going to the battery swap.
I'm going to kill probably half of our questions with these next three questions right here.
We have different modes here that we can
It might be some explaining though. Will the J100 use prescription mapping or spot spray missions from stuff like Pix4D with the Mavic 3M?
So there's a couple records in this one here. I got this question. We just set this account up. This is a US version account. We don't have much records in this thus far. So if you have a lot of records from a bunch of pilots, then all of the records from prescriptions on your account will all show up to the J100 on this screen. Doesn't matter if it's just this remote. This is something another remote is in development here right now, and with the EAVision, obviously something you can pull those up and look at those. In terms of software features and things that we want to be added, we kind of got to go on a priority list. Stuff still being ported over from Chinese, and so we want like US units. Things that we think, all right. Then we've got our demand. We can change our demands. DJI had some things on the safety side that we kind of want over on the EAVision side, like beeping before takeoff, and it's always syncing in the manual control with like critical low battery stuff like that. From the cloud. We want those things first. Okay. And then we want some things as far as like manipulation of height during I don't know, Ryan, do we need to pause here before we go into the cloud system? Stuff like that.
Wouldn't hurt because there's a lot of stuff kind of in terms of the software here.
Things because who uses we may be until midnight. Okay, let's go. You know,
it's gonna be a nice long night. Hope you brought some drinks and get you over there. Yeah.
It's a fairly low percentage.
This was a two-parter.
It sounds like a great idea.
Is there a way to change flight path due to wind change?
With the DJI system.
And it kind of goes for DJI and EA.
We rarely, even though we got videos on it, we rarely use Pix4D. Yeah, so I don't know necessarily what you're saying. It does take it's a process. There is no drone that actually tells you what direction you should fly according to the wind. Even these drones don't know what direction the wind's blowing. So that doesn't actually change your wind's blowing north and south. You might want to fly. It just changes your rate. So you still plug in that wind changes direction. I don't know if you guys caught that. I can't really demonstrate it here. It goes back and forth across the entire field boundary. And if the wind changes direction and you want to change your flight path whenever it doesn't, or change the operation for the field. So for spot spraying, not a great idea because why would you spray the entire field boundary? The drone can fly laterally. Go into that operation tab and just pick the spot that needs different. Change your flight path. That's all you do. Typically, when we're doing is change the flight path for the remainder of the field. Spot not what you've already sprayed. but the remainder of the field, you can do that consecutively. Just manual plus, which you can start spraying north and south. Wind changes direction. All right, now let's spray east and west, and start operating on the next part of the field. As good as DJI. Changing again. Now we got to spray diagonally, but as far as it'll just quality, just keep breaking that field down and down and down, and only changing what you haven't sprayed yet on a gimbal. And then we do use DJI does not for some spot spraying stuff, actually making like consecutive field boundaries.
The second question as well there, so that helps a lot.
First drone.
I'm gonna kill probably half of our questions with these next 3 questions right here.
A bunch of 1 acre
It might be some explaining though.
And
will the J100 use prescription mapping or spot spray missions from stuff like Pix4D?
Even that takes a long time to set up though. If you're if you're doing like, I've got small areas, just like a few passes, not a lot, but a few times still there, it's better to do thus far. So currently, did that answer any of that question? You cannot import prescriptions from Pix4D.
Yeah, you're good.
So yes, it's coming. No, it's not yet. This is something that is in development right now. With EAVision, obviously,
and you might have answered part of this question in terms of workflow for importing stuff like shape files added, and we kind of got to go in a priority list into the drone.
And so we want like so as far as importing boundaries into the safety system, that is on the cloud, so we kind of want over on the EAVision side, and we will look at beeping before takeoff.
Awesome. Okay.
And manual control with like critical low battery stuff like that.
Question was, did I hear correctly from an earlier video that the J100 can be used for mapping?
As far as like manipulation. Yeah. So what do you mean by mapping? Right. During everybody's got different definitions. The mapping stuff like that. That's kind of people have no idea what you mean when it comes to kind of the more niche. So because who uses if you mean orthomosaic mapping, then yes, according to our can be used for orthomosaic mapping. But like like the T50 and the T40, sounds like a great idea. T25, once you start doing it, those could also be used for orthomosaic mapping. DJI system. Frankly, when we're doing spot spraying with like a last resort, though, we rarely, because even though we've got video limited on your flight, we rarely use big drones. They don't have as good as cameras as like the smaller drones do. From mapping to processing to loading it, you got to map spraying, and then even get a smaller. When you have that spot spray mission, it doesn't actually change your flight path on the DJI system. More flight time. It just changes your rate. You still plug in that entire field boundary, so it's the last resort on both DJI and EAVision. It goes back and forth across the entire field boundary, and spurt on whenever it has to spray, shuts off whenever it doesn't, or changes the rate back and forth.
RTK to do that mapping.
Spraying, not a great idea, because why would you spray the entire field boundary, and the drone can fly laterally left and right. So you do not need RTK to do the mapping, the mapping on the J100. Typically when we're doing spot spraying, DJI system, you do need it with the drone RTK to do the spots that you can see pretty easily.
What is the maximum swath and
like just manual plus, which this has manual plus. Yeah, so swath is something that we have not fully answered yet. As good as DJI. We can take manufacturer, but as far as quality, but you do that. Back to the remote manufacturer says very 11 meters. That's 30. And then we do use Pix4D a bit for some spot spraying stuff, actually making like consecutive field boundaries. I wouldn't take that as face value. First drone. Could it do that? Yeah. I know want to do that. Like consecutive boundary spraying. T50 and T40. We've shown that 1 acre plots can do up to a 36-foot swath. You can spray like 5 of those in a row, only in the right bounce from one to the next, because the conditions. And even that takes a long time to set up, though. Wind and whatnot. You're doing like really small areas, speed, and just like a few passes and then a few passes here. So we do assume we're going to have a very similar swath to any other drone of this similar or same size.
In there somewhere, yeah,
somewhere around that 30-foot mark.
Yeah, you're good.
So yes, it's coming. We have to do a ton of testing. We have not done like the string test, which we are the most comfortable with.
And you might have answered part of this question in what you just said, but workflow for importing stuff like shape files and boundaries into the drone.
And that's they're the ones who have so as far as importing boundaries into the system, that is on the cloud region cluster data comparison, and we will look at that next. Very similar results to like what we see with the T50s and T40 as far as swath whenever you're flying.
Question was, did I hear correctly from an earlier video that the J100 can be used for mapping?
Max flight speed. So what do you mean by mapping, right? Everybody's got different definitions. 30 miles per hour. Some people have no idea what you mean when you say while spraying. You can do it while spraying. So, do it while spraying. It doesn't limit if you mean orthomosaic mapping and limit your, then yes, the J100 can be used for orthomosaic mapping. But like like the T50 and the T40 and the T20T and the T25,
will the RTK
those could also be
relay
used for orthomosaic mapping.
That super
was like a last
module.
resort,
will that have
You're limited
Will it have
on
to
your
be
flight time with these
stationary,
big
or will it be able
drones.
to
They
attach
don't have
it
as
to
good
another
of
drone
cameras
or
as like your
vehicle?
smaller drones do.
Assuming that we're
Your,
mostly
you
just
know,
talking about the
Mavics
relay on
do.
this one.
And
Yeah, so if
you
you just want to use the relay function of the Superlink,
smaller
you can
drone.
put it up on a big pole. You can attach it to another drone and fly it 100 foot up in the air, tie it to a weather balloon. Doesn't matter. If you're just using
the last resort on both
the
the
relay
DJI
function,
and the EAVision for
then you can use it the
ortho
same
mosaic,
exact way
you
as
know,
you use the DJI relay.
photogrammetry mapping.
But if you're using the relay function and the
With
RTK,
that, do you need
it's
RTK
got
to
to
do
stay
that mapping?
stationary, just like any other RTK.
Alex, have we
confirmed whether or not you,
you don't have
to
to
use
use
both? You can just use one or the other.
So you do
or
not
both.
need RTK to do the mapping.
It is
the
heavier
mapping
than the DJI RTK station. Than the DJI relay station. Part of this is because it has
What is the maximum
a
swath
RTK
and flight
globe on
speed?
top of it. But also part of this is because it's got a big battery. It's something that we have not our battery fully life answered yet. You know, we can take manufacturer recommendations, DJI right? 4. Everybody can do that. So manufacturer says you might be able to put 2 of them on meters. That's 36 feet, I believe.
All right.
36 feet.
Is the J100 capable of
I wouldn't take that
manually
as face
flying
value.
waypoints for
Could
field
it do that?
boundaries like we can with the
Do
DJIs?
you want to do that? Maybe not. With the
Yes,
T50
you
and
can
T40,
manually
we've shown
fly
that
your
waypoints
up to 36
around your
swath,
boundaries. But you can do this a number of
only
ways
in the right
conditions, you know, because the conditions and, you know, I'll say
your
3 ways.
wind and whatnot
You
does
can
affect
use
that a
like the
lot as far as
UAV
your flight
speed and
If
your
I
height,
just
all that
click on
kind of stuff
here,
also affect
if I go
we
here,
do assume we're going to have a very similar
plot,
swath to any other
quick
drone
name
of
here.
this similar or same size.
Then there, your mode.
Then we just select UAV, and then we can just fly it and mark our points that is coming off
like
the
the
GPS
test,
on
which we
on
are
the drone.
most comfortable with.
Or you can just fly around the boundary real quick,
this,
and it puts out that white line here, and they use that white line to hand draw
a whole bunch of
around there with the crosshair
within a day.
Or you
and
can
then
use
they're the
hand
ones who
draw
have to tell us what
and
it is.
then click
So
but well the drone's not
we
put
haven't
in
done
GPS
that
location
ourselves yet.
but
We have
you
done
can use
swap
hand draw
cover testing.
and then click the
I don't
button
know
over
about
here
reading swap cover
and it
data
will
in comparison,
lock
but it looked like we
the
had
center of
very
the
similar
screen,
results
that
to like what we do
crosshair
with the T50,
will lock
T40
onto the drone's
as far as
position,
swath whenever
and it
you're
will
flying
follow the drone all
at
the
the
way
same
around the
speed and
field.
height, 32
You do
feet
that
per
that
second.
way too, and that's a bit
And
faster.
can
That's how we
see high.
typically do it. So
Max
those are
flight
three
speed
ways to do it.
is
The one
45
function
feet
doesn't
per
have
second,
that
about
30
30
miles
does
per hour
have,
as of right now.
This
T50
is,
you can put it
while
into
spraying,
like you can do manual plus
while spraying.
It doesn't
like
limit
man-
your spraying following. Manually spray,
your
but it
obstacle
keeps the rate
abilities,
around the edge of the
as well.
boundary. Fly all
So
around the edge of the
make sure you
boundary,
note that.
and you're spraying the edge of the boundary manually
All right.
with the stick.
Will the
But
RTK
then
relay
you've got that
relay
line that you can map based off of.
that super
With the EAVision,
module?
the manual
will that
spraying
have-
function, like the manual
will
plus
it have to be
spraying function,
stationary, or will it be able to
is
attach it to another
actually
drone or
in
vehicle?
here.
Assuming that
and
we're
so
mostly
here's
just
where you
talking
do
about
your
the relay
manual
on this
plus
one.
settings.
So if you
So you do
just
the
want to
same
use the
thing,
relay
like your manual
function of
plus
the
settings,
Superlink, where it
you
keeps all
can
your
put
rate
it up on a
and height and
big
speed, all that
pole.
stuff
You can
accurately.
attach it to another
but
drone.
it
Fly it 100 foot up
when
in
you
the air.
step
When you go back
out
out
of
of
this
this screen, if you're just using
then back into
the
your
relay
normal
function,
screen,
then you can use it the same exact
then it
way
gets rid
as
of
you
those
use the
lines
DJI
that you
relay.
sprayed.
But
So
if you're using the relay function,
this is
and the
something that they're
RTK, it's got to stay stationary, just like any other
as
RTK
it is.
station. But you don't have to use both. You can just
Can
use
you
one
create
or the
curved
other,
flight
or both.
paths?
It is heavier
curved flight
than the
path.
DJI RTK station, or sorry,
no,
than the DJI
not right
relay
now.
station.
I mean, with the hand
Part
draw
of this
feature,
is because
you
it has
kind of can
a RTK,
but not
on top of it.
necessarily
But also part of
consecutive
this is because it's got a
curved
big battery.
flight
It's got an 8+ hour battery
something
life.
that we've been asking for
as a
for
remote
a while,
as far as like even like
the
importing
DJI 4,
like importing guidance
so,
lines. You might be able to
from
put
John
2 of them
Deere
on a
or
SMS,
trees.
whatever. Something we've been asking for on the DJI side. It's a very, very limited
Is the J100
use
capable
case,
of manually
but
flying
nevertheless,
waypoints for
that's something we're
field
pressing,
boundaries like we can with the
EAVision.
DJIs?
Towards the bottom of the list, though. Yes, you
You
can
just mentioned John
manually
Deere.
fly your waypoints
One of our
around your
cams
boundaries.
had a text from a dealer.
You can do this a
Can
number
a
of
customer
ways.
download his fields from his John Deere mapping system and put that on, or from his planner?
You can use like the UAV.
yes.
And again, I'll show you that here
on here.
If I go here, if I go to plot,
Do you
new
feel
plot,
the J100 responds more intelligently than DJI when encountering an
then there,
obstacle?
your mode, then we just select UAV, and then we can just fly it and mark our points. The T50 has really good obstacle avoidance on the drone. Or you can just fly around the boundary real quick, and over it puts out that white line,
and you can use that white line to hand draw.
But we noticed there
around
seems to be some issues like on flat fields
or
when you
you can use hand draw, and then click
well,
the drone's not
kind of like GPS location, almost like
lose altitude, hand draw, and then click the button over here, and it will lock
hill mode
the center of the screen, that crosshair.
Will lock
but it
on
will
the
go
position
up and over, and it will follow the drone all the way around the field. So you can do that way too, and
up
that's
hills and whatnot.
That's how we typically do. But in terms of your
three
That's
ways.
Thing is like, okay,
the one
we got to put it in
doesn't
really,
that
T50
tricky
scenarios.
have,
Like the T50
right now,
it's got to get off the wood. And it's T50, you can put it
like you have to actually have
you can do manual plus spraying, like whereas the J100
manually spray.
It's just you put it in flatland road and it's around the edge of the boundary, fly around the edge of the boundary,
around,
and whatever is spraying the edge of the boundary manually. So I guess in that term it probably does. But then you've got that line that you can map based off of.
Does the system monitor battery
the
level
manual
to make sure there's
spraying
enough
function, like
to
the manual
return
plus
to
spraying
home
function,
safely?
is actually
and you can set your battery level.
And so here's where you do your manual plus
it's settings.
So you can do the same thing.
It
simplifies a lot of your
settings.
Where
your
something either I'm not sure if we like it or not like it,
but it's less to screw up.
Right? When you go back out of this screen
on some of these things,
and then back into your normal screen.
I kind of like to have more control
lines
so
that
you
kind of like
seeing what's the benefit if we add more features.
This is something that
there's going to be changed.
So the DJI side, where it'll be, you can say return to home at whatever 20% or 30%, or just give me a warning. Whereas this, the low power alert there, that's just going to return to home.
I mean, with the
hand draw
feature,
you kind of can, or on the low voltage alert, I think it might not necessarily at the low voltage alert. Curved. Yeah. So basically, you've got like return to home. You can set that
something
here.
that we've been asking for,
for
a while.
I don't know,
even like importing guidance lines all the way down to from John
to the ground,
basically.
SMS,
whatever.
We've that's kind of like your first step
on
like
DJI
return to
side.
home.
It's very limited.
And then you got the low voltage alert, where it's like, okay, the voltage drops because it's too cold outside, or a cell busts from a battery, or it's just it's low on power. Then that's when it does like its
one of our
landing
cams
thing.
had a text from a dealer. Can a customer download his fields from his John Deere
can you
mapping
manually
system
fly the
and put that
drone
on
during
the
autonomous flight? Say there is an obstacle and it stops.
And again,
can
I'll
you
show
manually
you
fly
that
the
here
drone around that or take over controls when it is returning
Do you
to
feel
home?
that the
and,
J100 responds more
Ryan or Jen, who's on here,
intelligently
can you
than
put
DJI
the
when
link to that
encountering an
video
obstacle?
on YouTube? Where we do that.
It does appear to. The T50 has really good obstacle
we show
avoidance
that
on
that
hill
video
mode
pretty clearly.
as far as like going up and over
here
obstacles.
right now. Hard to show you.
We noticed there
you can't with
DJI
issues
like on
do
flat fields when you
is
operate.
You just use a stick.
If it's going towards an obstacle,
it'll
you
kind
just
of like take over manual control with the stick by pushing it to the right and then forward, and it goes to the right and then forward, and then you hit return point 1. But it will go
with
up and over obstacles. T50 will.
Right there.
That's what you do.
It'll go up hills and whatnot.
Okay, I saw that.
But in terms of this thing is like, okay, we got to put
auto
it in
mode.
Really tricky scenarios.
That's manual mode.
T50.
That's it.
So in auto mode,
it does seem to be like
you have to actually have it
down here on the switch, and then if it's going towards an J100, you want to hit the manual control,
flatland mode, and
flip
it's
the
going
switch,
to make a 3D
and then
path.
You flip the switch and just
around,
let go of everything. It just stops and hovers. So I guess in that, and then if you flip the switch and then just use your stick and push to the right and forward. It does the same thing DJI does.
System
goes to the
monitor
right,
battery
goes
level
forward,
to make sure
and
there's
then you
enough
flip back to autonomous,
return to home
like that,
safely.
and it pulls up with your return point,
and
just
you
like
can
DJI
set your battery level,
A, B, C, D. So it does.
And then
it's got. It simplifies a lot of your settings. Something either I'm not sure if you like it or not like it.
How is connectivity between the remote and the drone?
Because it gives you less
For example,
options on
DJI
these
loses.
but
I'm guessing it means it loses connectivity
I kind of like to have
easily
more control
with
so
distance
kind of
and
like
hills.
seeing what's
So
the
need
benefit if we add more
range
features and
antenna
settings in
or
here.
repeater.
Like with DJI side, you can say
it's simple,
return
guys.
to home at whatever,
if
20%
this remote
or 30%, or
cannot
give me a
see
warning, direct line of sight. Whereas
with that drone,
the low power
if the DJI
alert
remote
there, that's just going to return to home at the DJI drone alert, meaning it has to send signal through a hill. On the low voltage alert, I think it might
probably not
going to
have much
signal at the low voltage
because
alert.
it doesn't go
so basically
up
got
and
like
down,
return to
it
home
goes straight
through.
through.
Set that here.
And so,
as
far as like
I don't know
the signal strength and range and FPV, all the way down to
whatnot.
We haven't noticed any difference between this and DJI.
And that's kind of like your first step like return to home.
Yeah,
kind of
mile and a
thing.
half out. That
And then
was
you got a low voltage alert,
flat field.
where
A
it's
mile and a
like,
half out.
okay,
They had no
the voltage
issues
dropped
of
because it's too
response
cold
or anything like
outside,
that on
or
the
a
FPV
cell
side.
busts from the battery.
Or it's just,
But
you
yeah,
know,
you
it's
take it up
low
over
on
a hill,
power,
and you're probably going to
then
lose
that's when it does like a
connection.
forced landing thing.
So that's where the relay is. Where it's the same thing as DJI. The communication
All right.
system
Can you
between
manually fly the
J100
drone during
and the
autonomous
DJI
flight?
is
Say there is
the
an
same
obstacle and it
communication
stops.
system.
Can you manually
Um,
fly the
I'm
drone
not just talking
around
about the relay.
that
I'm
or
talking about
take
the actual
over
communication
controls
system it
when
uses.
it is returning to home?
So
Yeah,
you'll
and
have to use the Superlink in that
Ryan or Jamie
scenario.
was on here. Can you
We are
put the link
fingers
to that
crossed,
video
going to be
on
testing out the
YouTube,
4G
where we
connection
do that,
capability, because you
that way
can put a
guys can
4G
actually have a
card
direct link to that.
in the
Yeah, we
drone.
show that
the
on
4G
that
card
video,
here.
pretty clearly.
As long as you got
I
data,
can't fly it here
on
right
both
now.
of those,
That's hard
then
to
you
show
can.
you.
But yes,
communicate with the
you can.
drone
With the DJI system, what you
4G.
do
We
is
have
you
the
just
wrong
use the stick.
module.
If
in
it's
this
going
one
towards an
here,
obstacle, you just
they've got to send
take
us new
over
modules,
manual control with the
for this
stick by
feature to work.
pushing it to the right and then
Once they have
forward, and
that,
it goes to the right and
then
then
you might not
forward, and
relay
then you
ever, as long as
hit
you got
return
self-signal.
point 1. With this, it's
Real
this.
quick, kind of add on to
Right there.
the
That's what you do.
return to home feature on the battery.
Okay, I saw that. It's just
Somebody's
switch.
asking or kind of commenting onto there, so it calculates the
that's auto
distance,
mode?
speed, time, payload.
That's
Then
manual.
no,
Oh, gotcha. That's it.
yeah.
So
In auto
no,
mode,
as far as I
you're
know,
down
and
here on the
correct me
switch.
if I'm wrong,
I don't
and then
know
if it's
that
going towards
any
an
spray
obstacle
drone
and you want to
calculates
take over
distance,
manual
speed,
control,
time, and
you flip the
payload,
switch
into
and then
if you flip the
return
switch
to
and
home
just
side.
let go
Like on
of everything,
DJI small
it just
drones,
stops and
they do
hovers,
this.
stops spraying.
Because the payload's
And then if you flip the switch
right?
and then just
Payload
use your
doesn't
stick
change.
and push to the right and
Whereas
forward,
like
it does the
other
same thing
drones,
DJI does,
payload
goes to
does
the right,
change,
goes forward,
or spray
and then
drones,
you flip
payload
back to
does change.
autonomous like that.
I don't know
and it pulls
that
up
this
with
is
your
taken into
return
account
points,
in either
just
spray
like
drones that
DJI
I've
return
seen.
point a star.
A, B, C,
It's
D,
usually just
and
like
then,
a percentage kind of a thing.
You're saying
Point.
XAG might.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, XAG might.
All right,
I
last
haven't,
one, then
haven't
we can move
verified that
on.
myself.
How is connectivity between the remote
I
and the
say let's rock and
drone?
roll.
Keep
For
on moving.
example, DJI loses.
Okie dokie.
I'm guessing he
I
means
promise we'll answer all of your questions.
connectivity easily with distance and
I know,
hills,
we need a-
so need
We need a
extended
beer break. We take a
range
beer break,
antenna or
anybody?
repeater.
Yeah. Well,
It's up
it's
to
simple,
you.
guys.
No, I'm good.
If this remote
All right. Cannot see
let's
direct
get
line of sight
into
with that
the
drone.
cloud system.
If
So
the
you saw
DJI
some
remote
of the cloud
cannot
system on the
see
remote.
direct line of sight
Now,
with the
I should
DJI
preface
drone,
here,
meaning it has to send signal
Uh,
through a hill.
the cloud system
You're probably not going to
that
have
we've
much
been
signal,
running up until
because
just like a couple
it doesn't
days
go
ago,
up and then down.
has
It goes
been
straight through.
the Chinese cloud
Um,
system.
And
They
so
do not have the
it's-
U.S.
as
version
far as
cloud
like the
system
signal
set up,
strength and range
on
on
US
FPV
servers
up
up
until
until
just
just like a
signal
couple days
whatnot.
ago. We haven't noticed any difference between this and
we've been
DJI.
running the Chinese cloud system. This is what you're looking at is the U.S. cloud system.
Yeah, mile and a half
There's
out.
still
That was
features,
that
that
field, mile and a half
have not
out.
been
We had
ported
no
over yet.
issues of
And
response
still
or
some
anything like that on
copy
the
or some
FPV
text
side.
that has not been
not been.
But yeah, you take it up over a hill, and you're probably going to lose
what we needed
connection.
to yet.
And so
that's
some
where
of these
the
things
relay
will not be
it's the same
100%
thing
accurate.
with DJI.
The communication
you'll see, like
system
next week
between
even
the J100
is going through
and the
rapid
DJI
change.
is
But the
cool
same
thing is
communication
here
system.
before I launch into like what it
I'm not
does.
just talking about the
cool
relay. I'm
thing
talking about
is,
the actual communication.
we talk about
system
data security and that being a big deal.
You'll have to use the
Um,
Superlink in that scenario.
So
we have
fingers
seemed to have
crossed,
verified data
going to be
security on the
testing out
US
the
server
4G
with
connection
the EAVision
capability.
system. You can put a 4G
obviously,
card
EAVision,
US
in the drone,
a
4G
standalone
card
US
here.
company.
As long as you got data
set up the
on
server
both of those,
here on the AWS
then
platform,
you can
Amazon Web Services platform,
communicate with the drone.
and
4G.
so when we transferred, we have the wrong module.
Same login.
And this one
right
here,
you go to a different site basically.
Got to send us
for the
new
Chinese
modules.
server. Same login
for this feature.
But whenever we logged over to our US server, none of our information
ever
transferred.
As long as you got
We couldn't get it to transfer over with the same login, same account.
Real
because
quick, kind of add
servers
on
don't
to the
communicate,
return to
to
home
each other. They
feature
just
on the
communicate with
battery.
US server alone.
Somebody's asking or kind of commenting
kinda
onto there, so it calculates the distance,
okay.
speed, time, payload. Then no.
Gotcha.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Where do I want to start here?
No,
so
as
what
far
we're
as I
looking at
know,
now, and correct me if I'm wrong,
this is
I don't
what's
know
called
that
the,
any spray
the
drone
service web,
calculates distance, speed,
system.
time, and
And
payload.
so this is
into the return to home
not
side.
everybody will
Like
have
on
all
DJI small
of
drones.
these,
They do
functions over
because
here.
the payload's constant.
All these tools
right?
over here.
Payload doesn't change.
Whereas like
some of this is just
other
like
drones
for
payload does
dealers
change,
or repair
for
centers.
spray drones, payload does change.
Stuff like that.
I don't know that
some
this
of it
is taken
will be
into
for
account
everyone.
in either spray
spray drones that I've seen. The operations one of those things will be for everyone. It's usually just like if this is where kind of a thing. We can bulk upload. I'll get right to that. We'll bulk upload our plots. XAG might. I haven't EAVision system. Fields are called plots.
We might change the
I say let's
nomenclature.
rock and roll.
But as
Keep
right
on
now,
moving.
fields are called plots.
Okie dokie.
Upload right there.
I promise we'll answer all of your
Then from
questions.
here, we can select a pilot. You know, who's
I don't know. We need a beer
account,
break. Can we take a beer break?
multiple
Anybody?
pilots on your account. So like, who's
It's
the
up to
key
you, you're
pilot in
leading.
charge of those?
No, I'm good.
All
right.
And then you
Let's
can choose
get
a demand.
into the,
So if you have a
the
demand
cloud
saved, like a
system. So
work
you saw
order saved.
some of the cloud
Farmer
system
John,
on the
he
remote.
wants,
Now,
Trevor
I should
Pro
preface
sprayed on
here,
10 fields. Then you can make the demand first.
The cloud system
Use that demand
that
here,
we've been running up
and
until
then
just
like
a couple days ago,
tall, short,
has
whatever.
been
The Chinese cloud
landform.
system. They did not have the
another
U.S.
crop
version
type
cloud
like
system set up. And then here's where you
on
import
U.S.
servers.
and
Here
just a couple
it's
days ago.
KML and JSON.
So we've been running the
thus
Chinese cloud
far.
system.
What
What
you're
you're
looking
looking
at
at
is
is
the
the
US
U.S. cloud
KML.
system. There's still
So
features
there's not
that
shape files
have not been
that you can
ported
import,
over yet.
Like, it doesn't have that ability to
and
import shape
still
files
some
yet.
copy or some
That
text
has not been
to
to
be
be
added
soon.
but
But if you want to add those immediately, then what you do is you just go to
so
your
some
John
of
Deere
these
systems
things
will not be
export
100%
shape files.
accurate.
You'll see like
Pretty
next
sure you can
week
export
even.
KMLs as well.
Just going
If you
through
can't
rapid change.
export your shape
But
files.
the cool thing is here before I
then
launch
there's
into
online
like what it
converters.
does. The cool thing
Google
is,
search shape file.
we talk about data security and that being a big
all those
deal.
fields all at once.
Into
So
single
KML file
we have
broken out into
seemed to
multiple
verify
different
data security on the
and
U.S.
then you import
server
that KML file
with
multiple
the EAVision
KML
system.
files all at once.
And
Obviously,
system,
EAVision
you've got your 10
US
fields
is
Farmer John
standalone
on
US
the work
company,
order for fungicide for your pilot
up
to
the
server.
So it's kind of like an enterprise
AWS
level
platform,
Amazon Web Services
ticketing
platform.
work order kind of a system,
data management system.
And so when we transferred same login,
I don't even know which one
you
we
go to a
sprayed here,
different
Alex.
site basically
For the Chinese
on,
server,
like,
same
the
login
US
version.
But whenever we logged over to our US server, none of our information transferred. We couldn't get it to transfer over with the same login, same account.
These are just our plots,
but we can download the boundaries
with the US server
on
and
each of these
server
fields.
alone.
We just hit download
kind of
KML. Then we can download individual boundaries.
Let's see. Where do I want to start here?
So
which is pretty
what
cool.
you're looking at
I
now,
think you do that in bulk as
this
well.
is what's called the service web
all your boundary files.
system. And so
in
this
bulk,
is
which is pretty cool. DJI, you can't
not
do this.
everybody will have all of these
details.
functions over here. All these tools
so
over
is
here.
just basically like the details of the plot. This is the one we mapped.
Some of this is just like for dealers or repair centers.
It just shows you kind of information about
stuff
it
like
over
that.
the right-hand side.
And some of it will be for everyone.
So
operations
one of those things.
Not much for everyone.
You can't edit it
this
from
is
this
where
screen,
we can bulk upload. I'll get right into that.
Go to like
bulk
operation
upload
records.
plot.
There's your demand list.
EAVision system fields are called plots.
We might change this nomenclature.
But operation records here. So we can bulk upload.
I'm
right there,
assuming
clicking that.
Been sprayed.
Then from here, we can select a pilot.
Who's
who's
we probably should not have switched over to the US
you have multiple
server for
pilots
you guys here.
on your account. So like who's the key pilot in charge of those fields. And then you can choose a demand. So if you have a demand saved, like a work order saved, Farmer John, who wants Trevor Pro sprayed on 10 fields, then you can make the demand first, choose that demand here, and then select your crop type. Is it tall, short, whatever? Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not going to show you guys the crop type, the flight path data. And then here's where you import these fields. And here it's it's KML and JSON. We imported basically thus far. We shared fields over KML from one account. So there's not shape files that you can import data. It doesn't have that ability to import shape files yet from like our Chinese server to be added US server whenever we hit that share button. If you want to add those immediately, then what you do is you just here if we go from it would show you the flight paths. So if you had 20 different flight paths. I'm pretty sure you can export KMLs as well. You had sprayed. If you can't, it would show you that all right shape here. Files. It shows obviously online converters. There. Just you can change this over to, and then you can convert all of those fields all at once here. Show you all of those flight paths here. KML file. Show you your individual flights here. And then you import that KML file or multiple KML files all at once. Flight doesn't have this system from the flight. Then you've got your 10 fields. You could play Farmer John on the work order. Actually show you where the drone went for your pilot. Play it all around there. So it's kind of like an enterprise level. So pretty similar, like ticketing work order kind of a system. Like a mix of like smart farm system and like XAG system. Okay, here as well. I don't even know which ones we've sprayed here, Alex. And then of course we can download the flight path data as well as the boundary. All from just hitting that button. So you got 50 different flight paths on one field. You want to get the KML flight path data.
Well, these are just our plots,
but we can download the boundaries
on each of these fields. Pilot management we just here. Download. We just have the 2 on here. Then we can download individual boundaries. Better switch off the screen. Which is pretty cool. In our demand. That's really kind of it as far as what you guys might mostly download all your boundary files. Now, if I still in bulk, which is pretty cool. DJI, you can't do this. Yeah. I'm just going to log into this one here. This is another system just here. Basically like the kind details of the plot. This is more similar to the like DJI Smart on the remote system here. The breakout. They call this the CRM information about it over on the right-hand side. So it's kind of like a CRM system you'd use for custom resource management. Not much you can do here. You can't edit it from the screen. If we this is available both on web and on phone, and I'll show you the phone version just to prove it to you. Operation records here, but if our data would have transferred over, then it would show you basically an overview from 2025, and you can, we probably should have switched over to the US server for you guys here. Micron is just kind of a home overview thing. And then from here, you've got all your kind of quick tabs, operation management, like the actual stuff that you've been spraying, whatnot. You can click on those. We may have lost our flight path data coming. Importing fields from there's a remote field from the Chinese. Again, no flight path data in there, but it will show you all this stuff. You can play it through right there. Unfortunately, I'm not going to show you guys the flight path. You can connect demand on these field plots. So if you sprayed a plot, it does. It's proved data secure. We imported basically connect that. We shared right there fields over. You've got the export function from one account to the next, but it did not actually move any data management other than the boundary we saw from like our Chinese server to our US server whenever we hit that share button. Team management here. But here, if we it would show you the flight path. So if you had 20 different flight paths, this will show all live, this one field by pilot and by UAV. It would show you that all right here, both live and shows obviously accumulated data by all of your pilots. You can change this over to no drones are connected to this Imperial. I just haven't apparently here. And of course your device. Show you all of those flight paths here. It would show you your individual flights here. I don't know. Maybe so. This is pull it up. All of your plots. You click on those, pull those up. You click off of this right here, and if I zoom in, you could play like it would actually show you where the drone went first, and it would play it all around there, and all sorts of stuff. So pretty similar to like the smart farm system. It's like a mix between like the smart farm system and like our XAG system here as well. And then it works better on your phone because you got to go back and forth and download on your phone path data really as well as the boundary, all from just plot, and all the same 50 different flight paths available on here versus the PML flight path data. You got and plot mapping, boundary, hit that download zone, get an obstacle right here in the middle. Pilot management here, we just have the 2 on here. Both of these are Alex's personal email, so I better switch off the screen. Yeah, you can undo your changes there in our demands. And that's really kind of it as far as what you guys might mostly like see as an operator. You've mapped right there. Now, if that's where thanks for at it here for some reason. And then we go to upload. Then here, of course, you can connect it to demand. So like you probably have like a default demand, kind of like right. This is more similar to things like DJI don't have demand for it, or you can they call this the CRM side demand. So actually kind of like name the field used for. So I'll call this custom resource management on. So here, if we this is available both on web and on phone, and I'll show you the phone version just how. I don't know, upload it or whatever in a second. But land form, there you go, flat. Our data would have transferred over, then it would show you basically an overview, not have or have 5, and you can, terminology filter this out, and just kind of a home overview kind of a thing. There you go. Here, so it should be on our remote now. All your kind of quick tabs, operation management, like the actual stuff you've been spraying, whatnot. Click on those to show you guys like how this looks up on and there's our field on your phone. Again, no flight path data in there first, but it would show you all this stuff. You can play it through right there. You can connect demands to these plots. So if you sprayed a plot and forgot to assign it to a demand, you can connect that right there. And you got the export function as well. My technical abilities go back. Screen, man management now, same as what we saw before. You can create new demands here. Oh, there's my cute kids. Team management here. Okay, there we go.
data
so I just saved it basically like an app kind of thing on the phone.
This is like live.
So
live
here we
data
have
by
the same
pilot
basic
and by
thing.
UAV. So
make a field boundary.
live
You know, the
and
same as what we did on
accumulated
the
data by all of your
you guys
pilots
just saw there
and by all of your drones. No
the
drones
information
information
there
there and there. All of this is
and of
the
course
same
you
device
guys saw
right
on
there
on the
laptop. Plot
So
management.
this
right
is kind of
here.
like your smart farm thing.
So
What's
this
that?
is all of your plots. You click on
One
those,
thing I
pull
did
those
forget.
up. We click off of
Um,
this right here, and if I zoom
there we
way
go.
in,
After sales service,
we can actually map.
this is
one
where you
from
go
here.
into like report or request a repair order. Mainly, we're talking about like warranty cases, right? For warranty case,
back to where
you report a repair, and here you basically fill in all your information.
It works better on your phone.
You got to
can
go back and
choose
forth with the mouse
files
here, but on your phone it works really, take a picture from here. I better not click on
map a plot.
all
All the same
my
functions are available
in there.
here
I'm not gonna go that
versus
far.
the remote.
Yeah, there you go. Okay,
you
Alex
got
says you can take a
plot-
picture.
Plot
So
mapping.
this is where you do all of that.
Zone, I'll map an obstacle
is
right
all
from
right
the middle, or on the laptop. Okay, Alex, anything else on this on the cloud? Yeah, you can undo your changes there. Change over to no spray zone. And it shows like your obstacles and no spray zones you've mapped right there.
Yeah,
that's where it thinks we're at apparently.
As far as I have to show you.
And then we
go
go upload.
Then here, of course, you can connect it to demand.
back up
So
for
like you
questions.
probably just want to have like a default demand,
Let's see
right?
here.
That
We had quite a
just
few.
like everything
I've been
goes
saving
into if you
some
don't have a
for
demand for it.
just as
or you
we
can
go.
connect it to,
All right.
your fungicide demand.
One and one. I know that the
They
remaining
still name
lot
the
of
field.
people are going to want to
So
know
I'll
here.
call
What
this
is the pricing and
map on-
availability?
Yeah.
Right.
I thought I.
You might have covered this.
You know what? No, I haven't covered it.
Crop if you want to.
Let me.
Memento.
Yeah, low, tall, or whatever.
Landform, there you go. Flat. We always just select
Here.
flat.
I did have some questions.
I had kind of power line.
Not have or have.
Or,
Again, some of this terminology has
on
to change.
J100 hardware software.
This answers a few of our questions actually right here.
Confirm upload.
Figured it might.
There you go.
We talked about the server.
This should be on our remote now.
Looks
actually.
very secure as well.
Talked
about the micron sizes.
Back out.
We do
the
believe
last
500s or bigger
here
are achievable.
Show you guys like how
with
this looks
software
on
changes.
availability.
So currently we do
phone.
have we've got a bunch of units coming in February. I don't know exactly what week in February just yet, but in February we do have some still available on that shipment.
You guys are testing my
when those are gone, and they probably will be gone very, very quickly.
abilities.
Then the next round will be in March.
Technical abilities here.
My technical abilities
in March, and then we'll
green
another one in April. So we should have a lot
of my cute kids
of J100s available. And plenty of time.
There we go. I just saved it basically like an
where
app
will
thing on the phone.
J100 units be available?
So here we have the same
service,
basic thing.
Something I kind of thought maybe
make a field boundary.
So currently,
we did on the.
we are distributing
guys
these
just
only
saw there,
through our
the information
there and there. All of this
we're doing distribution,
right? So we want to empower our existing
kind of like your smart farm
and build up all of our dealers that we've been working with for a long time and new dealers as well to be true service centers.
After sales service, this is where you go into like report or request a repair order.
So through our
mainly we're talking about
rapidly,
like warranty cases,
right?
For warranty
ourselves
cases,
and EAVision,
you report a repair, and here you basically fill in all your information.
As well.
You can choose files. I don't know if you can take a picture from here.
Okay,
I better not click on.
Let's jump into your question.
All my creepy pictures
All
I've got in there. I'm not gonna go that far. Yeah, there you go.
Losing
Okay, Alex says you can take a
communication with the
picture.
drone will continue
this is where you do all of that.
and record
It's all
application.
from right here. Or on laptop.
Another great question. Yes, it will continue the task. And right now,
anything else I missed
part of one of these safety things is during autonomous mission, if it loses signal, there's not an option tree like for you to choose what it will do.
As I have to
Like on
show
DJI side,
let's
before you take off, and then you can choose.
back up for questions.
When I lose signal, should I continue the task?
Let's see
Should I
here.
stop and hover?
Should
I go up 10 feet? Should I return to home?
Just
Should I
as we
land?
go. All right.
That's your options for the drone.
Right
now, the
I know
J100
that the remaining lot of people are going to want to know here.
to
What
just
is the
continue
pricing
spraying.
and availability?
If it loses signal, going up and over a hill, let's just say, if it loses signal,
You might have covered
I
this.
should know. You know what? No, I haven't covered it. Keep line of sight with the drone at all times for FAA regulation. But if it does happen, loses signal up and over a hill, it's going to spray down the hill on the other side. It's going to spray back, turn around, spray back up the hill. Whenever it reconnects with the remote, and of course you've got control back again, and it will repopulate that map
This answers
with
the of our
that as
questions actually
applied
right here.
figured it might.
spray line.
We talked about the server. Server looks very secure.
All
Talk about
right.
the micron
Is there a way to
sizes.
rectify
We do
offset
believe 500
using a known point
are
to make the drone
achievable,
positioning
with
adjustments
software
before starting a
changes.
mission?
Availability, basically move
so
your field boundary.
currently we do have,
I'm assuming
we've got
that
a
or
bunch
kind of
of
how
units coming
GPS isn't
in,
always in the exact same
in
spot.
February.
yeah,
I don't
right.
know exactly what week
so
in
rectify
February
offset on
just
these
yet,
drones, from what I've been
but in
exposed to,
February,
basically,
we do
is
have
like
some still available on
you know,
that
in
shipment.
flight, like as
those are
you're
gone,
in the
they probably go
operation,
down very, very
right?
quickly.
From flight to flight,
Then the next
pass
round will
to
be
pass,
in
flight
March.
to flight. Even without
If you're
RTK,
just as big an
your
order,
accuracy
in
is
March,
going to be
and then
fine.
another one in
even
April.
if you're off a foot. We should have these drones aren't perfectly 30 feet wide swath or 32 feet or whatever the case may be. You have overlap. So even if you are off a foot pass to pass, be available. Any drone and who will service huge deal. I kind of thought maybe be interested in because of the overlap. So currently, we are you should never be off only with GNSS from pass to pass, our flight to flight. It's basically we're doing come back to that same field. We want to empower our existing network and that build up all of our dealers that we've been working with for a long time and new dealers as well of GNSS, RTK, true boundary centers. True could be a foot for you, 2 foot. I don't know, locally 6 inches, right? So through our existing network, which is growing rapidly, when you map it, when you get there, ourselves and EAVision satellites are working together. So what I've been exposed to, as far as like the systems I've seen with these with other drones, you basically rectify the offset, either with a fixed known location.
All right.
So like you make a calibration point whenever you make the
When
field,
losing
5 foot
communication
to
with
the
the
south
drone,
of a
will it
pole,
continue the
and that's your
task
calibration point.
and record
Put the drone
application?
there, it locks it back to that calibration point.
Another great question.
Or yes, you can just move the entire boundary. And right now, just with your part of one of these safety things is during autonomous mission. If it loses signal, EAVision, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong. This is not a feature that's not added yet. An option. So this is on the tree. Choose what it will do. Like on DJI side, on the list, before you take off, features, and you can choose when I lose signal, because I continue the task. Not like I stop and hover. When you're spraying with J100 for the first time and I return to home, it's not like other than like you import a boundary. Right now, the J100 time that it would make a lot of preset to just continue spraying. Operating for the first time, loses signal should be going up and over a hill. Let's just say we kind of push that down the list. Loses signal, other things, but yes, I should note coming. You should keep line of sight with the drone at all times per FAA
a couple of these have something to do with software in general.
Loses signal up and over a hill,
all
it's going to spray down the hill on the other side. It's going to spray back, turn around, spray back up the hill.
At this point,
whenever it reconnects
all
with
of
the
this
remote,
available
and of course you've got
on the
control back
web-based
again,
platform
and it
can't
will
be transferred from the
repopulate
remote
that
to
map
the
with
to the
that
remote
as applied
prior to going to the field.
Data, those spray lines will repopulate that map. So well, heck, let me. You guys saw me
Is there a
map
way to
that
rectify
field,
offset
correct?
using a known point to make the drone positioning adjustments before starting a mission?
This. I mean, like basically move your field boundary. Go back into
I'm
here.
assuming that, or kind of how GPS isn't always in the exact same spot.
Let's just see if I've got that field. Right. So rectify offset on these drones, from what I've been exposed to, basically, is like that mapped on computer. In flight, like as you're in the operation, right? From flight to flight, on laptop, pass to pass, flight to flight. This is the field that I've mapped on laptop. Your accuracy is going to be fine. Just a few minutes even if you're off a foot. So this is a live sync. These drones are perfectly on the cloud, 30 feet wide, same thing on your 32 feet or whatever the case may be. And then it will live sync so long as you've got internet off on here to pass or Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi on here right now. It's not. As long as you have Wi-Fi on here prior to going to the field, because of the overlap. Make sure that it syncs. You should never be off a foot. It does live and you're pass to pass or flight. It's basically you come back to that same field. And then as far as like another thing, as far as like this what you guys are seeing is boundaries. Like the if just Google Maps GNSS, satellite imagery, your boundaries will shift. This when you zoom into an area, images clear up and it saves the imagery to the catch 6 inches, right? Hard drive on the remote, on the accuracy, just like DJI does. And then when you get to the field, you don't have that internet at all, and you still have. So what I've been exposed to, as far as like as well as I've seen with other drones, as you basically rectify the offset either with a fixed known no location.
In regards to that
like
software, is there a grower
you make the field
/farm
5 foot to the south
structure,
of a pole, and
or
that's
is
your
it just
calibration
plots
point.
or
Put the drone
fields?
there.
People are talking about the reporting at that point.
Calibration point moves the boundary with it.
No, I understand what you're talking about.
You can just move the entire boundary, right? Just with your ag D-pad software stuff, up a foot, down a foot, stuff like that. So typically, EAVision, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong. This is not a feature. Every other added system here in the U.S. Yep. So this is on the tree of data and whatnot. You got your hierarchy, right? You've got your grower of features. You got your farms,
again, because a single farm, not you've got like multiple fields you could when have. You're spraying with the J100 for the first time on that field here, then it's not like, other than like you import on J100, that's only, it doesn't exist on DJI. I know, I don't know that it exists on XG. Operating for the first time on that field, but you should be. I'm not even sure if it exists on Helio yet, so we kind of push that down the list. Might be the closest, but yes, it is coming to making that.
All right, a couple of these have something to do with software in general.
Doesn't do that.
Is all of this available? And I believe they were looking at the mapping of the remote at this point. Is all this available on the web-based platform, and can it be transferred from the RTK hand or to the remote prior to going to the field?
Alex did just remind me. That's where you can use demands on here. So like you guys saw me map you can have all of your farmers. Like demands can be whatever you want them to be. So like they could be a work order, or they could just be like each of your growers have their own demand. So you don't have to necessarily assign a product and let's just demand. I've got so each of these demands here could be your growers. What do I call that? And then within that grower, you don't have mapped on your different farms, but you have your different fields. Map on laptop. Yeah, there it is. Right, this is the field that I mapped on the laptop in front of you guys.
Can you use the RTK hand stick paired to your phone and the mobile app
live
for RTK level boundary mapping
on the
cloud?
Mobile app. You can do the same thing on your phone, and then it will live. We haven't tested it. You've got internet on here. Or Wi-Fi. We should have Wi-Fi on here right now. As long as you have Wi-Fi on here prior to going to the field, we need to test. Then you just make sure that it's Bluetooth over, which it does live, and you're good. Yeah. So that answer your question? I don't know. We'll test it.
I'll mark it down.
Because you can Bluetooth like a and Garmin, as far as like RTK. Another thing, as far as like this, what you guys are seeing on like the Google Maps, the same thing. Satellite imagery. This when you zoom into an area, images clear up, and it saves the imagery to the cache hard drive on the remote. Just like DJI does. You guys kind of saw when you get to the field, you don't have to have internet at all, and you still have your Google Maps image showed like as well as course your boundaries. We didn't spray anything, so it was all zeros, but yeah, it does.
All right. In regards to that software, is there on the chat? We're kind of going back a little bit here before we hop into the Q&A, or is it just plots or fields? Area, so to say. We're talking about the reporting at that point. Saying.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're talking
about. So you're saying the T50s being imported now aren't being imported legally, or other distributors have found other legal workarounds?
So typically with like every other system more here in the US on that. Okay, for ag data let me just talk about how like what your grower underneath the grower, you got your farm custom stops underneath that single farm. So when you got multiple and how this process works, that hierarchy does not exist. When you import something, of course you have to have on J100. It doesn't exist. A company has to assign the importer of record. I don't know that it exists on XG. It may only. I'm not even sure if it exists on a broker to handle that for you. It might be the closest. But like if the company, Agri Spray drones, be the importer of record on there, and then no, the commercial invoice do that. Would come from the manufacturer again, and that would stay pretty low on the priority list. That's just nobody's used to that on how much they cost for duties and tariffs.
Use the RTK
and then the HS codes. So basically, the HS codes. Alex did just remind me like that's where you can use demands like define on here. What so like category you can like in your demands. You can have all of your farmers. Like demands can be whatever you want. There are specific HS codes. They could be a work order drones, or right here they could just be like each of your growers have their own demand. You don't have to necessarily assign a product to that demand. If you don't, then so each of these demands here could be your growers. And then within that grower, you don't have your HS code farms, drone, but you have your different fields. And it says that it's a DJI, manufacturer's DJI, and it has DJI's code.
Can you use the RTK hand stick paired to your phone and the mobile app for RTK level boundary mapping on the mobile app?
Not a part, but as a drone. That is a good code question, and one that's what custom stops. We haven't tested it. I don't not allow through. We haven't tested it, so I couldn't tell you, frankly. I have not found a way to the documents they need have to come from DJI. They can't come from us to get them out. Of I don't know. We'll test it. Customs. I mean, because you can Bluetooth like a Garmin. The only way I know this is happening Bluetooth to your to be frank.
Yeah.
Somebody knows somebody at the border. Or you're not.
Does the J100 give you progress reports after each flight similar to DJI?
That's the only way that I know of it. It does. you guys kind of saw some of that whenever I like exited out of that plot.
And you very well could have talked about
it
some
showed
of
like
those.
we didn't
Well, you just
spray
said,
anything,
or
so it was
even
all
some of these
zeros,
questions
but yeah,
at certain other points, but just kind of going back to some of them.
All right.
Is I don't think you talked about this one yet.
On the
Is
chat,
EA
and we're
looking
kind of going
into
back
other categories of
into the
drones, such as
Q&A,
camera or personal drones area, so to say? Saying from earlier on, so you're saying the T50s being imported now
lines,
aren't being imported legally,
like
or other distributors have found
like weeding,
other legal
robots.
workarounds.
Probably not great fits for the U.S. market. Oh, so more information on that. As far as like your smaller mapping drones and whatnot. So let me just talk about how that they've got anything released on this or what pipeline on this that they've discussed with us anyways. Okay, so when you and how this process works. Concerned about when you import something, we want a good spray drone. Of course, you have to have the first and foremost. A company has to be assigned the importer of record. Agri Spray drones, not agri mapping drones. So spray drones is first and foremost. Licenses, a broker to handle that for you too. I don't believe that EA, but like if we bring a company, Agri Spray drones, be the importer of record anytime soon. And then the commercial invoice would come from the manufacturer.
This
and that would
one.
state what the products are.
All right, so that's pretty much all of the chat from earlier. So on the Q&A side of things,
duties and tariffs.
when are we
and then
anticipating the J150?
So basically, the HS
Seen
code
videos
is
on
also
Facebook a lot
for duty
lately.
and tariffs. HS code, you guys doing your homework here. What category that product? So the J150. When I mentioned we will be able to beta test multiple units of HS codes for EAVision's right here. Next, there's one HS code that you're supposed to use. That is the J150. So what is also the J70. If you don't, then they will be launching basically sister falsifying documents. Big version, a 70-liter unit. So if you have the HS code for this drone, 5-liter unit is the J70, and it says that it's a we will DJI, have manufacturer's DJI, and it has as DJI of right now code associated with it too. 5 units of each in March. And it's a drone, right? Not a part, but it's a drone with a drone HS code. We'll have 5 units of each in March. That's what custom stops. So that's plan not allowed through. I was just gonna have to draw out of a hat. I have not found a way, but the documents they need names have to come from DJI. They can't come we want people to get that are spraying a ridiculous amount of acres, cleared for custom, and also doing some ridiculous stuff, not just acreage wise, but different. The only way I know this is happening is to be putting these things through the to be frank. Somebody knows somebody at the border, because we would like to finally calling a spade. Have I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything. The U.S. market is saying it's actually been tested in the U.S. market. There has been no spray drone ever to come to the U.S. market that has actually had a season under its belt in the U.S. market.
And you very well could have talked about some of those.
A real season under its belt in the U.S. market.
Well, you just said, or even some of these other questions at
even
certain
if
other
he is
points.
like, hey, we can get you
going back to some of them.
100
J150s. I don't think you talked about this one yet.
You're like, okay,
is EA looking
think about that
into
pretty
other
hard.
categories of drones, such as camera or personal drones?
August, right? Is that something we want or not? Do we need to be valuing that more? So we'll see. Smaller product they're producing right now. So like autonomous robots. Possibly we could have robots, but I find out how they doubt probably not will have fits for the U.S. market, frankly. At least a large number. As far as like your smaller mapping drones and whatnot. I don't know that they've got anything released on this or in the pipeline on this that they've discussed with us anyways.
Or
not something we're really
somebody
necessarily
asked,
even
are those other 2 models pending FAA approval yet? Do we know?
We want a good spray drone. First and foremost, that is our biggest priority. Is first. Spray drones, not agri mapping drones, are pending FCC, I believe. And FAA comes after. I don't believe that EA will bring mapping drone to the market. That seems to be a pretty streamlined process now, so I'm not too worried about that.
Okay. All right. Have we this one been putting these J100s in the hands? So that's pretty much all of the full-time operators for several days. So on the Q&A side of things, when are we anticipating the J150? Seen videos of it on Facebook a lot lately.
We've only had a very small number of units. Yes, so the J150. When I mentioned we will be able to beta test multiple units of where it's like EAVision couldn't afford product in their product line. That is the J150, and it is also the J70. As of they will be launching basically sister products last week. Big version of 70-liter unit of operators. The J150, and beginning to operate 35-liter unit is the J70. Arkansas North. We will have south as of right now. 5 units of each.
What is the realistic
in,
turnaround on a software
March, I
bug found to be
believe,
repeatable
when
from the
those are
time the
scheduled.
user discovers it
We'll
to a
have 5 units of
software
each in
update
March.
available from EAVision?
So plan is to bug. We're probably just gonna have to draw out of a hat for this one. Like but bug side of things, names and some hats. Like we want people to. I guess what's your definition spraying of bug, right? Ridiculous amount of acres. As far as bug, that and also doing tells me like it's supposed to work and it doesn't work. But right? different. We haven't encountered anything that is supposed to work. Putting these things doesn't work. Except for the because cloud. We would like to finally transferring from a drone China to U.S. market has actually been tested in the U.S. market. There has been no spray drone ever we've seen come to the U.S. market that has actually had a season everything under its belt in the U.S. market. Features, right? Like a real season changes to current features. So that's what we wanted them to operate like we even if he is like, hey, we can get you 100 J150s. So timeline on these like, okay, think about that pretty hard. Some of them like have been short. They can bring them in August, right? Some of them are not got scheduled out. Basically, they're scheduling a lot of these out. So basically, between they're producing right now or this past month, right? So when we started kind of doing this software changes stuff, possibly this past month, some all the way through till April. It's when they have like the last large number is on some of these changes is April. So it's been really cool working with the EAVision team on this. They actually. When we told them we had software changes, we kind of got the same thing that we got.
Are those other two models pending FAA approval
working,
yet? Do we know?
Early on with DJI. Yes. Okay. So the J150 FCC is first. Just wait for it. So they're pending. Oh, come on! I believe you guys are supposed to be changing this stuff for us. You said you would. And so what they did is they actually pulled engineers off of their J150 software team. Seems to be a pretty streamlined process now. Specifically back on the J100 software.
Have we been putting these J100s in the hands of full-time operators for several days of real-world testing yet? All right, this one
that's just beginning now.
Has been asked a couple times from an individual.
We haven't. We've only had a very small number
dropping
of units
us as a distributor due to competition with this drone.
What, 3 months or so? We're still working with DJI. We've had meetings with them. We're still working with DJI. Like, here's the thing. What are we distributing? To lots of different people. We can't get drones. But as of, I'm not willing to stick my neck out and break the law of operators who are operating. So what we're beginning to operate are still working obviously with them not on anywhere is Arkansas North parts, right? But we've got thousands of DJI drones out there. Still in operation.
What is the realistic turnaround on a software bug found to be repeatable from the time the user discovers it to a software update available from EAVision?
Who sells DJI drones carries DJI bugs. I don't know. So, like we've got the largest stock of parts in North America. Like we've got I guess what's your definition of bug, right? And we're going to continue that. As far as bug, that's something that tells me like it's supposed to work and it doesn't work, right? We haven't encountered anything that is supposed to work that doesn't
add onto that as well, kind of for research.
Except for the
we are still
cloud system.
We still have Flycart 30s in stock.
Transferring from
still working with them on the delivery side and on the enterprise side, but basically everything in DJI in general is you just can't get stock, additional stock.
Everything
so whatever we have
has been new
already
features,
is what we have already. Kind of what
or changes to current features to get them to operate like we want them to. I do feel I feel the most confident. So timeline on these DJI. Some of them have been enterprise drones a week. Some of them they've got scheduled out. Basically, they're scheduling a lot of these out. of their revenue basically between on now or this past month, right? So we started kind of doing this software changes stuff. They're working on that. Past month, all the way through till April.
Will EAVision be opening up API access to allow software companies to connect and retrieve
really cool working with the EAVision team on this. They actually. We told them we had software changes. We kind of got the same thing that we got now that we've finally got kind of like the beginning of like an enterprise level work order type system. I was like, yes, okay, the J150 has that feature information. Just wait for it. It's like, okay, that kind of showed come on. Okay, I guess you guys are supposed to be changing that stuff for us. You said you would. API, and so what they did is they actually API that out of engineers off of their J150 software team. That could go into like there are other software companies back on the J100 software reporting, just for EPA reporting. It'd be great to literally just for us out of here, and that's pretty cool. absolutely on the table. It's just, again,
All right, this one
first things first.
has been asked a couple times from an individual.
Can the J100 operate
Is
in something basically known
DJI
as GPS denied mode,
dropping
where the
us as
GPS
a
conditions are
distributor
limited?
due to competition with this
So,
drone?
Limited or basically without GPS. We're still working with DJI. We've had meetings with them. We're still working with DJI, but
Yeah.
here's the thing.
Yeah, they're just really low
What are we
GPS. We have
distributing?
really low satellite signal.
Right.
Yeah,
you can't
but
get drones.
I'm assuming you're talking about like attitude
I'm not
mode,
willing
kinda
to.
like with the DJI.
I'm not willing to stick my neck out and break federal
good
law.
question.
To do so.
It's not something we've
so
tried because
what we
last time I
are still
tried it, I
working
flew
with
it
them
indoors
on actively.
I want to do that once again.
So, right. We've got thousands of
Boy, I
DJI
thought I was
drones
going to.
out there, still in operation.
So not something we've tried.
We need to make
but
sure that
something
they
we should look
stay
into.
in operation. And
Specific
as we've
use
become
case, if you
very
can
aware
ping us
of,
back with a specific
not everybody
use case for that.
who sells DJI
Good.
drones carries DJI parts.
All right. Are there 3D route
we've got the
planning
largest stock
options
of parts in
steep
North
hill
America,
and rocky terrain, for example, that doesn't rely
DJI
on
drones,
real-time
and we're going to continue
detection?
that. And
so
that takes us
as of
being
right
able to
now,
DJI
there
to do
is
so.
not three-dimensional flight
They are
plan
not
options, kind of like what
To add on to that as well, kind of
Terra,
for research,
did in,
we are
Smart
still
Farm Web.
we still have Flycart
did.
30s in stock. Still
EAVision
working with them
does
on the
not
delivery
have
side and on the
that,
enterprise side, but basically
feature,
everything in DJI in
as
general
of
is you just can't
yet.
get additional stock. So whatever we have already
and
is what we
I-
have
you know,
already, kind of what
I know what you
what it
expect me to
stays at.
say is, well, just
Yeah,
use a LiDAR
exactly.
because you don't need 3D route planning.
I do feel
And
I
maybe
feel
that's
the
actually
most
true. Like, have
confident,
we had it
if
in a situation
in DJI,
where it's like flying,
getting
enterprise drones
85
back,
degree slopes spraying up
um,
and down them?
I agree.
no, but we have
that
seen
is-
it.
that is a
huge. It makes up
literally
50% of their
climb
revenue
90,
on
like,
on
go
enterprise
straight up,
U.S. market. To what an
So,
obstacle,
yeah,
i.e.
you
terrain
bet your
follow.
butt they're working on that.
So that's a real
All right.
possibility.
Will
that
EAVision
could
be
actually
opening up
solve
API access
issue
to
of
allow
3D
software
route
companies
planning,
to connect
but it'd still be a nice feature to
and
have
retrieve
for
spray and telemetry
certain
data
scenarios
from
for
the drone?
sure. So we just
Not
talked
something they
about
have
this.
yet.
Now that
Does
we've finally
EAVision
got kind of
produce
like the
a
beginnings of
smaller
like an
version of the
enterprise level work
J100
order
similar
type
to the
system,
T20P?
for
Would it
managing
be
customers and information.
or similar to the 20P would be to a
It's
40
like,
or the
okay,
25
that kind
to
of
a
showed
50?
us that, okay, I guess it is possible to do that. So
They,
if we could
I think
API,
they are still producing.
if we could API that out of there,
their 20
um,
liter drone.
then that could go into, like, there are
it-
other software companies specifically for drones, right?
I-
For your FAA reporting and whatnot.
Yeah, I haven't
EPA reporting.
haven't flown
It'd
it,
be great
seen
to
it,
API that out of
know what
here.
it is
And that
comparison wise.
is absolutely on the table. It's just
not
again,
gonna
become to the U.S. market. First things first.
How
Can the
easily will it
J100
be to
operate
send
in
maps
something
from
basically known as
DJI
GPS
Cloud
denied
to EA
mode, where the
Cloud,
GPS
if that's
conditions
even
are
possible?
limited? Or do you need
DJI
so,
closed,
limited
DJI
closed
closed
system.
basically without
So
GPS.
sending
boundaries out of DJI.
So like
you mentioned DJI,
attitude mode.
as of right now,
Yeah.
not possible.
Yeah, they're just
Now,
really low
sending
GPS.
boundaries
We have
out of
really low
EAVision
satellite signal.
is possible.
Yeah,
But I'm assuming you're talking about like
So,
attitude mode.
yeah, I
with
just thought
DJI
about this
has
the other
that
day.
Attitude mode.
actually, I just put a
Good
put a
question.
request out there on
It's not
online
something we've
service
tried
to
because last time I
see if anybody has
tried it, I flew it indoors and I don't know.
I'm not gonna do that
way more
again.
knowledge than I do about coding and stuff like that. I don't know.
yeah,
I think crash it. See what we can do there.
I was going
DJI
to.
won't allow us to do that. And can we get it out of there somehow? So not something we've tried, but something we should look into.
Next one. Can you
Specific
change
use
the
case,
start
if you can
point
ping us
of
back
each
with
flight
a
before
specific use
takeoff?
case
I
for
know
that.
with DJI, the
Good.
drone doesn't always go where I want it to
All right.
when it takes off.
Are there
using the
3D
smart
route
return mode.
planning options
Yeah.
In
So
steep hill
so I
and
can
rocky
pull
terrain,
one
for
up
example,
here.
that doesn't rely on real-time detection?
Operate. As of right now,
Yeah,
there is
so,
not,
like I said, all of these route
three-dimensional
features here,
flight
that you guys
plan
are seeing on my
options,
screen,
kind of like what,
everything except
like what
for
DJI
the like the
Terra,
boundary thing here,
did and
everything except for
Smart
that
Farm Web
is able to be changed,
did,
including your start point. If you want to change your start point,
that
say it's set to go like and
feature,
it's spraying
as of
actively and
yet.
it's landed and it's set to go
and I know what you're
there,
expecting me to say is,
and you want it to
well,
go there,
just use a LiDAR
then you
because you
just
don't need
click on
3D
that and it
route
goes there
planning.
instead.
And like,
So,
maybe that's
your
actually
route can
true.
be
Like, have we
actively
had it
changed,
in a situation
during
where it's like
the operation,
flying,
as long as the drone's landed,
85
actively
degree
change, including
slopes
your start
spraying
point.
up and down them? No, but we have seen it
And it recognizes
literally
the
climb
orchard
90,
to
like
spray
go straight
just
up,
above
to what an
the
obstacle,
planting
i.e.
line
terrain follow.
autonomously.
So so that would be where the that hand that could actually solve the issue of 3D route planning, but it'd still be a nice feature to have for certain scenarios for sure.
Is it called hand drawn?
Yeah, hand drawn. Not something I have yet.
Confused myself. That's where this hand drawn thing comes in at.
A smaller version of the J100,
and you can fly the drone over that line first, that tree line
the 20p
first,
will be to a 40, or the
and
25
then
to a
use
50.
this and like map it as you fly, or map it after the fact. I think they are still
just like
producing,
this, where you're mapping
20-liter
your actual
drone
lines over those trees, just like that. You can make it not spray as it goes from one tree line to the next.
I haven't flown it, seen it to know what it is comparison wise. So
I don't quite know what's being asked here, Chris.
Not going to come to US market.
What you're asking here, but he says, is over water
How
setting
easily will it be
LiDAR
to send
over water
maps from DJI Cloud to EA Cloud?
Or what we've seen,
If that's
over
even
water
possible.
setting is not needed. We've flown it over
Or
water.
not.
DJI's a closed, DJI's a closed
issues.
system. So sending boundaries.
The only
out of
issues
DJI,
with
LiDAR
potentially are
right
like
now,
really
not possible.
like deep black,
sending boundaries
like,
out of EAVision, not like reflective,
possible.
like water's reflective. But like deep black, I just thought about this the other day. Actually, I just put a request out there on fresh asphalt online service deal comes to mind. See if anybody has. That's harder for LiDARs to I don't know, way more knowledge than I do about coding.
Here's a pretty good
like
one.
That.
This one might get you for a second.
See what we can do there.
What are some of the biggest technical challenges you have faced while testing the
Next
J100?
one.
Can you change the start point of each flight before takeoff? I know with DJI, the drone doesn't always go where
Tell
I
me
want
what
it
your
to
strengths and weaknesses
when it takes off using the smart
We
return.
didn't give out the strengths. We just know the one of the weaknesses.
Yeah. So the biggest. The biggest. How is that phrased?
What are some of the biggest technical challenges you have faced?
Like I said, all of these route features here. Yeah, I mean the biggest thing really is just been starting brand new. Everything with except a whole new for the system, like the boundary thing here. I mean everything except for that. All in all, is able to be changed on the software side. It's very. So if you want to change your start point. Let's say it's set to go, and even it starts spraying actively, really. And it's landed when you look at it, and it's set to go. Very similar. But there's things that we've talked about
to go there,
and you want it to go there. We're used to click on that, and it goes this way instead. So this way. Your route can be actively changed, and we use that feature. Now that feature is not there during operation, as long as the drone's landed. And have those been deal breakers? No, they haven't. But for these
and it recognizes
niche,
the orchard
use
to
cases,
spray just above.
That's the biggest challenge, like identifying
autonomously.
like what. Yeah, so that would be where the what do people actually use, right? Or with DJI, it was a lot of like you could do a lot of different customizations, like make it what you wanted it. This makes it very simple.
Is it called hand drawn?
Yeah, hand drawn. Yeah, to kind of like what the majority will actually use. That's where this hand drawn thing comes in. How big is that in the majority? So right? How important you can fly the drone over to that line first, that tree line first, identifying those, and then use this and like map it as you fly. Or map it after the fact, just like this, where you're mapping your actual lines over those trees.
Next one. If
like
I realize
you can make
I
it
mapped,
not spray as
I realize I
one
mapped the
tree
field
line to the next.
slightly wrong after I already started flying. Can I make adjustments to the field?
I don't quite know what's being asked here, Chris. What you're asking here, but he says, is over water setting needed with LiDAR? Over water setting,
I'm assuming so.
After what we've seen, over water setting is not needed. Make sure it over water. Save this again. Come back haven't had any operate. Okay, so as you're operating, your boundary lines potentially are like the yellow lines here you see. It's like those cannot be changed. The boundary lines cannot be changed. Water's reflective. But what you can do is some manipulation with like your cut route essentially, which is like your comes to mind your route segmentation. Or your boundary shrink. You can shrink entire boundary lines. So let's say like a pretty good one. That left line there, right there.
What are some of the biggest technical
to
challenges you have faced
then you could
while
shrink
testing the J100?
That border. And this will be up to 120 feet is what that setting there will be, not just 9.8.
Yeah.
Coming soon, up to 120. Tell me what your so you can move that entire route over off the boundary after you already start spraying. And it won't affect the biggest sprayed yet. So that how is that phrased? But changing your boundary
what are some of the biggest technical challenges you have faced?
Yeah, I mean,
Are
the
there
biggest
any
thing
nav
really is
lights
just
on
been
the
starting
outside of
brand
the
new
drone
with
or
a
just
whole
on the
new
inside of the
system,
motors?
right?
I'm assuming he's
I mean,
meaning for stuff like night flight.
All in all,
oh
on
yeah,
the
so the
software
lights,
side,
you guys may have
it's
seen
very
it.
similar.
On
to
the
DJI.
outside of the motors,
And even
no,
actually, you
it
can
is on the
pick
inside of the motors.
aspects from both, really, when you look at it.
I don't know.
I mean,
It's
very
violate,
similar.
but
Night
there's
flight, I mean, you can
things
see
that
them
we've talked about
flying.
here today. That's like,
It doesn't have a
we're
beacon though,
used
so it
to
can't do the
doing
whole
this beacon,
flippable.
yeah,
a beacon. Now that's
Yeah,
what
it
you're
doesn't
talking
have
about.
that.
We're
Not
used
just
to this
marker lights,
feature.
but yeah, beacon
We
lights.
use that feature.
No beacon
That
lights.
feature's not
It does
there,
have headlights,
right?
but not a
and
beacon light.
have those
very
been deal
similar to
breakers. Was
the
it
Loom-
Loom Cube?
Yeah,
But Loom
for
Cube.
these like
Go and get
all these
yourself a Loom
niche,
Cube,
unique,
and
use,
that's a
use cases.
bright. That's the biggest
LED
challenge, is like
light you
identifying
can stick on
like,
drones. It's made for
what
drones.
do we actually need? What do people actually use, right?
Can
With DJI, it was a lot
you
of
add
like, you could do a lot
obstacles
of different
after you have started
customizations
flying
to
a
like
mission?
make it what you wanted it.
No,
This makes it very simple.
both
Those
so
customizations,
boundaries just in
to
general.
kinda like
Boundaries
what the majority
meaning
will actually
the outside
use,
boundary and the
but
inside boundary, including obstacles.
how big is that in the majority,
Cannot
right?
be
How important
adjusted
are those
after you already
features,
start spraying.
to you,
To all of you.
at least
And
not that I have been
identifying
able to
those
see.
probably the
So
biggest
no, you
challenge.
cannot
As far as running the drone,
change,
it's edit
I
or
don't know.
add obstacles once you
There
start
been any
spraying.
challenges. Yeah.
All right.
All
As
right,
a
next one.
business,
If I realize
as a business
I
that just
mapped-
bought
if I
two
realize I mapped the
brand new
field
T50s in
slightly
December,
wrong after
should we
I
use them or
already
try to
started
sell them and
flying,
purchase two
can I make
J100s?
adjustments to
There's
the
a few
field,
guys that are
or
thumbing
do I
up on
need
this
to
one.
create a new field like on DJI?
Yeah.
Look, after you
T50 is a
start
good drone.
flying, right? I've got no qualms about the T50.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah,
After you start
flew them
flying,
here
yes.
this past summer.
Okay, I gotta
we
come
loved
back here
them,
and
right? They were
save this
great.
again and come back in to operate.
It,
Okay, so as you're operating, your
so
boundary
I'm not here to
lines,
tell you that you
the
should.
yellow lines here you see,
You have
those
to
cannot
sell your
be
T50s and your
changed.
J100.
The boundary lines
Um,
cannot be
You
changed.
know, as far as like efficiency
But
side of it,
what you
you
can
know, like,
do
what are you
is
concerned
some
about, right?
manipulation
That's kind of the question.
with like
What are you
your
concerned about?
your
T50 is
cut
going to be a
route
fine drone for
essentially,
it.
which is like your
efficiency side of it.
your route segmentation.
J100 will
or
be
your
more
boundary
efficient in
shrink.
some scenarios.
You can shrink
Not every
entire
scenario.
boundary
It'll be
line.
it'll
Let's
be,
say like
T50 will be just
that
as
left
efficient
line there,
as J100
right
there.
there.
In some scenarios,
You map that too close
J100
to
will
the
be
tree
more
line.
efficient. In other
Then you
scenarios,
could
just
shrink
because of increased
that
turning
border.
times, increased
And this
flight
will be
speed in and out
up
of
to
the field,
120 feet is what that
and stuff
setting
like
there will
that.
be.
Not just 9.8. Coming soon, up to 120. So you can move that entire route over
So
off the boundary.
I don't want you to make a
after
rash
you already
decision,
start spraying.
right?
Just
And
because,
it won't
just
affect
because
what you already have
sprayed, just
one,
so you haven't
one
sprayed yet.
webinar.
So
right?
that you can do.
The only
changing
other
your
reason
boundary
you might
itself,
consider
you cannot getting J100s is just due to future support, right?
Are there any nav lights on the outside of the drone or just on
We
the
have
inside
no
of the motors?
anticipation of not
I'm
being
assuming
able
he's
to
meaning
support
for stuff like
you,
night flight.
or anybody here that has
so the
a
lights,
DJI
you guys may
drone
have
in
seen
the
it.
future.
But on the
there again, we didn't
outside
have
of the
any
motors,
anticipation of not being
no,
able to
it is
get
on the
DJI
inside of the
drones
motors.
into the country,
Um,
and now we can't. I
so-
don't know. I mean, does this violate? There's that night flight.
Going
I mean, you
along
can see
with
'em
that,
when it's flying.
since it doesn't have a
Let's see
beacon
where to
though,
go.
so it can't do
Since
the
the
whole
technology
beacon, yeah,
and
beacon.
drone
I see what
capability
you're
is
talking about.
changing,
Not
is
just
changing
marker lights, but
rapidly,
yeah,
is there a
beacon lights.
market to
Yeah,
trade
no
in
beacon
older
lights.
models
It does have
or the
headlights,
newest model,
but
or
not
are
a
they
beacon
sold
light.
by the owner?
So very similar
There's
to
was
what
that
we used to.
Loom
Yeah, so
Cube? Typically,
yeah,
currently,
Loom
right
Cube.
now,
Go and
is
get yourself
for
a
sale
Loom
by
Cube.
owner. And that's a bright. It's a LED
It's a process,
light
you know,
can stick on drones.
it's
It's made for
sealed
drones. Sometimes you move them easy, sometimes you can't. We
Uh,
actually have. So there is a
Can you add
there
obstacles
is
after you have started
company
flying a mission?
that's starting.
No, so
an auction service.
both.
So
that's starting
boundaries just in
specifically
general.
for
Boundaries
spray drones,
meaning
blown
the outside
drone
boundary
auctions.
and the inside boundary, including obstacles, just for
cannot
spray drones.
be
just for
adjusted after you already
occasion
start
for flipping your
spraying.
drones at the end of the season.
At least,
getting rid of them,
not
getting
that I
rid of them
have
easy,
been
getting
able
rid
to
of them quick,
see.
and
So
opening
no,
up
you
to a
cannot
large market.
change,
Edit,
not
add
just in your local area.
obstacles once you start spraying. That auctions, it's online auction service kind of thing.
all right. As
From
a
what I know about it,
business,
it's set to start.
as a business that just bought
launch,
two brand new
potentially
T50s in
next
December,
month.
should we use them
believe.
or try to sell them and purchase two J100s?
Look out for
There's a
that.
few
Blown
guys that are
drone
thumbing up on this
auctions.
one.
Yeah.
All right, this one comes from
Look,
our
T50 is a
favorite
good drone,
Steve Lee.
right?
Can this
I've got
drone
no
or
qualms
next
about the
one
T50.
recognize
We flew them
pivot
here this
and
past
fly
summer.
over it automatically yet?
We loved them.
What about
right?
flying
They were great.
around utility poles and trees trees not being marked as obstacles.
So I'm not here to tell you that you should.
Yeah, Steve, we've sell your T50s
like I said,
J100.
We've tried to crash this drone,
You know, as
into
far as, like,
everything
efficiency
except
side of it,
we have not flown full
like,
speed
what are you
at power
concerned
lines
about?
yet. That's kind of the question. Not brave enough to do that just
going to be a fine drone
until find some power lines that are not
side of it,
active.
J100 will be more efficient in some scenarios. Not every scenario will be just,
but yeah, pivot.
T50 will be
Flown
just as
We've
efficient.
flown it directly at a pivot.
And
So like when you're flying at a pivot on like
J100 will be more
soybeans
efficient
or cotton down there for you,
just because of increased turning times,
how tall is the crop
in and out of the field,
or the bare field,
and
kind of
stuff like
thing.
that.
How tall is the pivot? So typically, if it's a bare field and you're flying at 10 feet,
So I don't want you to make a rash
props,
decision, right?
just
basically
because
of
kind of like the bottom or like center of like
the only other reason you might consider getting J100.
So with the J100, we've flown it at that height, at a pivot, at full speed. I don't know how many times.
We have no anticipation of not being able to power poles.
Like if anybody here that has
a DJI drone
shop
in the future.
we fly it directly at that thing.
There again, we didn't have any anticipation of not being able to get DJI drones into the country, and now we can't. So
it'll happen one of these days. We're going to crash. I always tell everybody whenever we start doing a demo or something, we go out to the field and start doing a demo.
Since
well,
the
let's go crash the
technology
drone
and
because
drone
we seem to
capabilities is changing
have a glutton
rapidly,
for
is there a
punishment. We're just
market
waiting
to
for this thing to
trade
crash
in
itself,
older
and so
models
far it hasn't.
for the newest model, or are they sold by the owner? All right, so that wraps up
so
all of those. We had a
typically,
couple extra
currently, right
added in
now,
here to
it
this
is
chat,
for
and
sale
then
by
we'll be
owner.
about done here.
It's a
Let's see.
it's a process.
I think you had answered this earlier, but real quick, is the J100 compatible with Pix4D?
We actually have well, it depends what you mean by Pix4D. So
there is
yes, you can export like KML boundaries from Pix4D. You can export like your like spot spraying maps as long as they are like individual boundary files out of Pix4D. That's fine. You can do all that.
Spray
That's no
drones,
big
just
deal.
for occasion for flipping your drones at the end of the season.
If you want to do prescriptions,
getting rid of them easy, getting rid of them quick,
and
and
that
opening
is
up to a large market,
not just in your local area.
What is the difference between LiDAR and 4D? I believe 4D imaging radar is what XAG is advertising on the 150.
Potentially next month. Yeah, 4D. I don't know what 4D is, frankly, as far as like how look it out for that works, lone like,
drone
in comparison
options.
to like the T50 and the DJI
All right,
system.
this one comes from
they've
our
had, like,
favorite
DBS
Steve
imaging
Can this
radars
drone or next one
so I
recognize
I
pivot
don't
and
know what the
fly
difference
over
is
it
between
automatically
those
yet?
two radar systems,
What about
like
flying
on the
around
DJI
utility poles and
the
trees
XAG.
not being
Someone more
marked as
experienced
obstacles?
with the XAG system should probably
Yeah.
tell me that.
So
It
yeah,
seems
Steve,
to be very similar.
like I said,
we've tried to crash this drone
like the
into
T50
everything
radar
except we have not flown full speed at
XAG
power lines
radar
yet.
on the front,
right?
Seems
Not
to
brave
be
enough to do that just yet
technology there.
until I find some power lines that are not
That is
active, bouncing off
and powered on.
All right. So
surfaces.
but yeah, pivots.
Flown it
We've flown it directly at a pivot.
Like
So like when you're flying at a pivot
just
on like
surfaces,
soybeans or cotton down
and
there for you,
those surfaces,
need to be how tall is a crop
bigger
or is it a bare field?
LiDAR surfaces.
How tall is a pivot? So typically
because
if it's
LiDAR
bare
uses
field, you're flying
light,
at 10
so
feet.
any surface
then like surface that
the props
you can see right with your
are
eyes
basically
actually
at
emits
the,
light,
kind of
or
like the
reflects
bottom
light,
or like
center of like
the
pivot. LiDAR can crash right into that in more detail.
LiDAR is what
So
they use
with
for,
the J100,
mapping
we've flown it at
topography,
that height,
right?
at a pivot, at full speed.
Very
I don't know how many times,
way to get
and every time it's gone up and over.
lots of
Same
detailed,
thing with power poles.
points
Like a light pole out here at our shop.
So as far as
like the actual details of like
thing,
the
I don't know how many
intricacies of
times
how they
far,
work, I'm not the best person to probably answer that.
It'll happen one of these days.
We're going to crash. I always tell everybody whenever we start doing a demo or
right,
something, we go out to the field and start doing a
see.
demo. It's like, well, let's go crash a drone because we seem to
Several
have a
guys
glutton
have
for
asked kind of
punishment.
a
We're just
question
waiting
in
for this thing to
general
crash
here,
itself,
and
and
you've
so
already
far it
kind of
hasn't.
talked about it a little bit. Is what? All right, so
That's how
that
it
wraps up
phrases
all of
kind of
those. We
cover
had a
everybody.
couple extra.
What would you
here
say
to
to
this
people
chat,
that have
and then we'll be
50s
about
right
done
now
here.
or new 50s right now that are looking at this J100?
I think you had answered this earlier, but real quick,
Personal
is the
choice, my
J100
friend. We live in
compatible with
America.
Pix4D?
You get to make that well, it choice depends what you mean yourself. by Pix4D. So
I'm not here to tell you that
yes,
you
you can
need to
export
switch,
like KML boundaries from Pix4D. You can export like your spot spraying maps as long as they are like individual boundary files out of Pix4D.
I don't want to
That's
influence
fine. You can do all that. That's no big deal.
That you're not comfortable in doing.
But
like
if
I said,
you want to
the
do
T50 is a good
prescriptions,
drone.
then that is not, not live yet. The majority of operators, T50 is a good drone. There are some things
What
the
is
T50
the difference
does,
between LiDAR and
that the
4D?
J100 doesn't do.
I believe 4D imaging radar is what
prescriptions right
XAG is advertising
Can
on
do
the
that with the
150.
3D flight routes. 4D. I don't know what 4D is, frankly, as far as like how it actually works, like in comparison to like settings, like the T50
But I mean,
and the DJI system. You know, they've had
The
like
only,
DBS
so the only
radar.
reason I would say that you should
switch. I don't know what the difference is between those
probably
two radar systems, like on the DJI and the
concerned
XAG.
about
Someone more experienced with the XAG system should probably telling me that. J100 is, in my opinion, overall a better drone in terms of efficiency, in terms of obstacle avoidance, T50 radar following to the, and then in terms of XAG radar changes we want right added. Seems to be like added. That's really cool. Same technology there. So I do like the track record.
That is
bouncing
off
added
of
Quest. All right. Even features beyond
surfaces.
T50 has. And not necessarily like light. I
don't want to tell you what to do.
Emitting surfaces,
Sorry, man.
just surfaces.
That's a hard one. Yeah.
Those surfaces typically need to
all
be
right, two more and then
bigger
a closing comment
than
from
like
somebody.
what the LiDAR surfaces need to be.
How many hours would you say we have
because
flights
LiDAR uses
logged
light,
on the
so any
100 J100 so far?
surface that you can see right with your eyes
here
actually
past
emits,
week's been
light
difficult.
or reflects light. Then very chilly in Missouri, we had a chance to track that in more detail. The LiDAR is what they use for mapping topography. Prior to that, we had it out because it's a very accurate way to get lots of detailed, at least a couple hours point cloud system. 6 hours.
So as far as like the actual details of
like
the intricacies of how they work,
I'm not the best person to probably answer that. On the 4D side especially. Yeah, over 100 hours. Yeah.
And we've only had a very short time.
Let's see.
Yeah.
All right. Several guys have asked kind of a question in general here, and you've already kind of talked about it a little bit.
Just in case,
let's see.
What
have you guys been able to test scenarios such as greenhouse spraying?
What would you say to
people that have 50s right now or new 50s right now
greenhouse or solar
spraying are looking at this J100?
On greenhouse spraying,
personal choice, my friend. We live in America.
What we've done, even with like the 40 and 50 systems,
you get to make that choice yourself.
Is I'm not here to tell you that you need to switch.
Not always guaranteed it's going to see the glass.
That's what we've done is not my decision. Take the terrain following off, use fixed altitude mode. I don't want to influence you in doing something that you're not comfortable in doing. So that'd be the same thing with the EAVision. Like I said, the T50 is a good drone. We'll test it over glass, but haven't done that yet. For the majority of operators, T50 is a good drone.
All right, for upcoming webinars, do you plan to do something for the auto mixer and the Roadrunner?
Pick prescriptions right now. Would you guys like that? Can't do that with the J100. 3D flight routes. Can't have a J100.
Had a couple people mention it.
Okay, I see one software settings. Okay,
one word.
There's two. Okay. The only reason I would say that you should
might figure out how to
switch. Okay, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do upcoming webinar. We'll do webinars about, especially for the auto mixer, because there's a lot to unpack there. Really. On the auto mixer, there's been a lot of changes. J100 is, in my opinion, overall a better drone in terms of efficiency, in terms of obstacle avoidance and terrain following, and then in terms of
all right.
The software changes.
I've got it is 10 o'clock, so I've got a closing comment from somebody on here. Real quick, Jay Wilburn, go and shoot me your question in detail if you don't mind. I will help answer that.
Even
in more detail on email. This is from Russ. He's been watching this whole time, stucking around with us.
I don't know. I don't want to tell you what to do.
As a total noob to ag drones and just starting out, I appreciate you and your staff's time and YouTube videos giving all of us valuable insight and then a closing information from somebody in an ever-changing industry. There's no doubt ag drones are still in the infancy stage, and we haven't come close J100 so far to seeing what the future holds. Thank you, Taylor and crew. Very much appreciated.
Difficult. But Russ, very chilly in Missouri,
yes,
and we haven't had a chance to travel. But thank you, Russ. Thank you for sticking around these 3 hours that we had out. I mean, really appreciate you guys as well. We wouldn't be here for a couple hours, so the feeling is mutual. 6 hours. I don't know.
I'd say we're good to wrap it up.
Great. All right. Well, yeah, we didn't quite make it to midnight, but over 100 hours. We had a lot of people stick around. Yeah. Very, very grateful
and
for everyone sticking around.
Short time.
All the way till 10 p.m. here. So I hope you guys got something out of this.
All right, I lied 2 more because this guy's asked a couple times. Which is perfectly fine.
To
just in case, let's see.
if you don't get the
have you guys been able to test scenarios such as greenhouse spraying or solar panels with this LiDAR?
We are all learning this now. Not everybody's an expert here on this system. So on greenhouse spraying, what we've done, even with the 40 and 50 systems, is because not always guaranteed it's going to see the glass. So what we've done is take the terrain following off, use fixed altitude mode, and then we just manipulate the height manually. So that'll be the same thing with the EAVision. We'll test it over glass, but haven't done that yet.
All right, for upcoming webinars, do you plan to do something for the auto mixer and the Roadrunner?
Would you guys like that?
Had a couple people mention it.
Okay, I see one thumb up. Cool. Okay,
one works.
There's 2. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There's a bunch. Somebody figure out how to do it. Yeah. Okay. We'll do that. Yeah. We'll do upcoming webinar. We'll do webinars, especially for the auto mixer, because there's a lot to unpack there on the auto mixer. There's been a lot of changes for this season, like the new model. I'm actually really proud of this model. So, yes.
All right. It is 10 o'clock, so I've got a closing comment from somebody on here. Real quick, Jay Wilburn, go ahead and shoot me your question in detail. If you don't mind, I will help answer that in more detail on an email. This is from Russ. He's been watching this whole time, sticking around with us. He said, as a total noob to ag drones and just starting out, I appreciate you and your staff's time and YouTube videos giving all of us valuable insight and information in an ever-changing industry. There is no doubt ag drones are still in the infancy stage, and we haven't come close to seeing what the future holds. Thank you, Taylor and crew. Very much appreciated.
Russ, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you for sticking around these 3 hours. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys as well. We wouldn't be here without you. So the feeling is mutual.
I'd say we're good to wrap it up.
Great. All right. Well, yeah, we didn't quite make it to midnight, but we had a lot of people stick around. Very grateful for everyone sticking around all the way till 10 p.m. here. So I hope you guys got something out of this. If you have more questions, please reach out to us. We're always glad to answer. If you don't get the answer that you want the first time, just tell somebody. We are all learning this now. Not everybody's an expert here on this system, so we will get you the answer that you're looking for. Have a good night, everybody.